Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the smartest FNAF fan games ever created. Whether it's clever gameplay, unexpected mechanics, or stories that constantly stay one step ahead of the player, these games never let you get comfortable. Some of these always seem to know exactly what you're going to do next, so let's dive into them. What do you think makes a game a masterpiece? Let's actually make that question a little more specific. What do you think makes a FNAF game a masterpiece? Is it purely graphics, good sound design, or maybe you just care about the story? While those are all valid answers, my answer tends to be a little different. I love myself some good post-game, extra things that can be done aside from the main story mode, and rest assured, the game that we're going to be covering today has plenty of it. You've all been wanting me to cover this game for a long time, and we're finally here. So strap in and join me today as we talk about Knuckles Week at Sonic's. Before we even start talking about the actual mechanics this game has to offer, there's a pre-game cutscene for us to take a look at. Obviously, throughout this game, we play as Knuckles, and if you couldn't figure that out, then my best bet is your parents dropped you on your head when you were developing, or if it wasn't that, then while your mom was pregnant, she was doing belly flops in the pool all the time. In this cutscene, we see Knuckles guarding the Master Emerald, but low-key, he was bored as hell, not even gonna front. A flyer blows onto one of the pillars on Angel Island. Knuckles investigates and sees that it's a job offering for a security guard at Sonic's Hero Pizza Palace. For some reason, God knows what, Knuckles decides that working at a restaurant would be a better use of his time instead of guarding the fucking emerald, aka literally his only job. Knuckles pulls up to Vector's crib. With him is Espio and Charmy B for some reason. He offers the three of them guap to go watch the Master Emerald while he fucks off on some side quest for a week. They agree, and bada bing bada boom, we have the reason that Knuckles is here. Does it make any sense at all? Literally fucking no, but whatever. Now, instead of just entering into the night like you would expect, you instead get thrown into a side scroller. You get approximately 17 minutes of tutorial that was boring enough for me to rip all of my toenails off. Basically, all you need to know is the way you enter nights is by interacting with these big odd TVs. After you complete a night, the next will unlock. This is really just a FNAF menu, but overcomplicated for no reason. Anyways, entering into the first night, we quite literally get the most painful phone call of all time. For some reason, this game thought it would be super cute and funny to be the only FNAF game in existence to not have a voice-acted phone call. So instead, you have to read approximately 37 paragraphs before you can even start the night. Luigi is the one giving us the voicemails, and he was working the week before us. He tells us some bullshit that I'm gonna end up telling you guys anyways, so let's just jump right into the tools at our disposal. Let's start by talking about our power, since yes, they somehow decided to make it more complicated than it needed to be. Your power can be replenished. Okay, so I over-exaggerated when I said it was overcomplicated. The way you recharge your power is through your cameras. Inside of your cameras, you will see a specific camera with an arrow above it. In this camera, rings will spawn at random intervals. Collecting them will increase your power by 4% per ring. Occasionally, the ring camera will switch, but it's always super easy to find because of the arrow. I'm not even going to pretend to understand how that makes any sense, but we're just gonna nod our heads and smile. Your doors are pretty simple. They close. Well, if you keep them closed for too long, they'll overheat and drain power faster than usual. That's really about it. Time to move on to the threats this night introduces. Let's start by talking about Mario since he's basic and fat. Mario's goal is to attack your left door. However, there's not a single character in this game that I personally find boring, which is actually super great. Before Mario comes to your door, he'll attempt to move into Camera 5. Inside of Camera 5, there are several classic Mario power-ups, and Mario is really trying to get his hands on the fire flower. Why exactly is he trying to do that? Well, because the fire from the flower is strong enough to melt through metal, aka your doors. The way you prevent him from getting this flower is by shutting the light off in the camera when he enters it. When he enters Camera 5, there will be a creaking sound cue. After you turn the light off, he will bum rush your left door, so make sure you close it quickly or he's gonna pole vault into that ass. The other character introduced on this night is Yoshi, and she is also a pretty interesting character. The whole goal for Yoshi is to attack your right door. On camera 7, which is the kitchen, you can pick up an apple. Fucking somehow, you're able to grab an apple in camera 7 and have it appear in your hand, even though you're in a completely different room. Does that make any sense at all? No, but I'm also playing as an echidna right now, so I think all logic is already being tossed out the window. Anyways, once Yoshi makes her way to your door, which by the way has no sound cue along with it, so that's just great, you will have to hold your flashlight on her and throw the apple into her mouth. This will satiate her hunger, but her potent fury will still be an issue. Quickly close the door after you feed her and wait for her to slam on the door a few times. Then you can open the door again. Now, that's all the threats this night introduces, but I've still got one more crazy mechanic to talk about, that being blocking and parrying. What the fuck does that mean? Well, if you fuck up and a character jump scares you, you can actually pull your fists up to block them, which is just fucking insane. The window for doing this is borderline frame perfect, but if you can manage to be fast enough, you can save yourself from certain death one time per night, which is pretty cool. Anyways, that's all night 1 has to offer. After each night, you're given a score with a final letter ranking. The more rings you collect, the higher it goes. Having a high amount of saved power will also increase this rating, and of course, the difficulty you play the night on. This is a super fun little touch that I love, and it really brings out my goblin completionist brain. But as you'll see, this game is about to get really fucking hard, so I don't think I'll be getting many other letter grades up to A. Moving on to night 2, we only introduce one new threat. The phone call is pretty fucking worthless, just explaining how said new threat works. So instead of talking about the phone call, we can just talk about the threat. That threat being Tails, who as you could probably expect is this game's Foxy, and who is so far, in my opinion, the most boring character in the entire game. Can't win them all, I suppose. Tails will slowly make his way out of Pirate's Cove. Once he leaves, he'll charge towards your left door. However, this is where he gets a bit different from Foxy. Instead of having to close the door on him, all you have to do is hold your flashlight in his eyes for a few seconds to make him go away. He does also make a sound cue running down your hall, which I do think is nice. However, this mechanic does bring up a few problems. Not for us as players, but for the game. The reason you stall Foxy in FNAF 1 is because when he bangs on your door, it drains power. Well, Tails doesn't bang on the door in this game, and even if he did, you can very easily recollect power through the rings on the cameras. So it honestly makes Tails a pretty useless character overall. You don't even need to have a super fast reaction time to deal with him, since it takes him quite a while to actually make it down your hallway. Oh yeah, during the night, the phone guy tries to explain how the rings make any sense at all, which I appreciate because they make no sense. His explanation is, no joke, Tails is smart and can clone them with a clone machine. So it really just doesn't fucking answer the question at all, so I guess I'll just go fuck myself then. One more thing I want to mention before we move on to the next night is how long the nights are, since I'm noticing I haven't actually done that yet. While yes, each night starts at 12 a.m. like most FNAF games, for some reason, the devs thought it would be really cute and hilarious to make the nights end at 8 a.m. instead of 6 a.m., making these nights take way fucking longer than they need to. And I'm not gonna lie, I say this all the time, I am horrible at FNAF games. Absolutely dog shit. So when I die at 7 a.m., it really makes me want to sit underneath a lawnmower and turn it on. But hey, surely the next night won't introduce the worst character of all time, right? Spoiler alert, it does exactly that. So let's waste no time and talk about him. Actually, psych, I fucking lied. We're not gonna talk about the new threat quite yet. First, I wanna mention the phone call. Luigi mentions he's noticing an active Sonic that's not the actual Sonic we see on stage. He says that it's a spare costume they keep in the back room. Probably this game's version of a Springlock suit. Luigi thinks that Eggman has something to do with this, but why the fuck would Dr. Rofatfuck give a shit about a pizza place? Oh yeah, he literally wouldn't care about that at all, so I'm just gonna move on from that stupid theory. Luigi, you're retarded, and I hate you. Anyways, moving on to the threat this night introduces, that character being Sonic. The actual Sonic this time. not the mascot Sonic that Luigi saw. Sonic's mechanic is simple in practice, but can be difficult to deal with if you're not good at paying attention. Sonic's aggression is directly tied to the rings you collect. You obviously need to collect the rings because if you didn't, you would most certainly run out of power by 8 a.m. However, now when you look at the cameras, you'll be able to see a Sonic counter in the bottom of the screen. Every time you collect a ring, this counter goes down. When it reaches 0, Sonic will progress to his next stage and the counter will reset. Upon entering his third and final phase, he will move to camera 9, and you will also get an alert for that camera letting you know he's on his last phase. When he enters this phase, you need to check camera 9 to see which side of the camera he's on. Depending on which side he's on will tell you which door he's going to attack. Once you bring his counter down to 0, he will immediately charge at your door. You will have less than a fraction of a second to close the door he's going to attack before he quite literally pile drives that anus into another country. The best strategy I can recommend here is that you should get his final counter down to 1, close the door he's going to attack, and then grab the last ring. That way you won't have to react to him at all. You can also not worry about Sonic when you're dealing with the other characters because he will never move under any circumstance unless you're collecting rings. So while he is a pretty annoying character, he's also incredibly forgiving. Honestly, at this point in the game, I still think Yoshi is probably the most difficult character to deal with purely because she's the only character that doesn't make a sound cue. And I'm retarded and forget to grab another apple from the kitchen every time she attacks. But that part is more of a skill issue. The no sound cue part does make my dick shrivel up though. Alright, here we are in night 4. This night introduces a pretty interesting character. But before we really jump into the ass clench that this night is, we should talk about the pre-night cutscene.
Hey, Knuckles. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, because I might not see my friends again after this shift. Something evil is here. I keep seeing it, and nobody believes me. The fact that the old clones move around, but I've seen it. You need to leave now and don't look back. Hey, Knuckles, tell Mario that I love him.
So yeah, in case your eyes don't work or you're brain dead, Luigi just got completely murked. Sorry, Buster. Sucks to suck. Anyways, as you probably noticed, Luigi didn't actually explain how to deal with the issue that night. And while I usually bitch about the phone guy doing this, I'm never actually serious about it bothering me, as it does make perfect sense that the phone guy should explain these things to you. However, now that our phone guy is dead and we still don't know how to deal with the new threat this night introduces, what are we supposed to do and how are we supposed to know how to deal with the threat without somebody telling us? Well, it seems this game didn't really think about that part because the way it teaches us is just by putting the text on our screen. This just feels really weird. Who exactly is telling us this information, and why did the devs feel like this was the best way to go about it? I have no idea, but enough padding for runtime. Let's actually talk about the new threat Night 4 introduces. That threat being Golden Sonic. Golden Sonic is definitely an annoying character, but thankfully he's nowhere near as frustrating as I was expecting him to be. Golden Sonic will start in your right doorway. Yes, your doorway. He never leaves. Throughout the night, the longer he sits in the dark, he will start to materialize in your doorway. If he does this fully, then he'll blow your back from the back. Bars. To keep him from materializing, all you have to do is occasionally hold your flashlight on him to make him go away. Now, I personally think putting him in the right doorway makes him pretty worthless, since you'll be constantly flashing your light in this doorway anyways to deal with Yoshi. Now, if they were to just move him to the left side, I think this would make him a million times more difficult, since up until this point, the only time you ever need to flash the left door is when Tails is attacking. So giving the player another reason to constantly look back and forth forth would not only make his mechanics seem more useful, but would also, of course, make it a lot more stressful. I think Golden Sonic could have been a really cool character. I'm just super happy they didn't turn him into a find him on the camera character, since they very easily could have and just completely ruined this fucking game. But thankfully, the devs have a heart and soul, and I think that's something we all can really appreciate. Anyways, time to move on to Night 5. Night 5 opens to a phone call. You might think that's pretty weird since we just saw Luigi get fucked, so who could possibly be calling us? Well, let's take a look.
Hello, Knuckles. You're doing wonderfully amazing in your job. It's the last day for you. Then you get to spend the weekend guarding the Master Emerald. Sounds like vacation for you. Yeah, I'd probably want that. Do you want to know what I want? Then it's something I always had several years ago. I want the attention I deserve to have. Do you think you can help me with that? It would be delightful if you did. But until then,
So yeah, Golden Sonic means fucking business tonight, clearly, and you'd better believe he means it. Well, as you can tell from the AI values before entering the night, this one is going to be a challenge. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to talk about since nothing new is introduced. This is just a much harder version of Night 4. But I do have one important piece of advice. There will probably be a few instances where multiple characters attack your door at the same time. Mainly for me, it happened to be Mario and Tails. If Tails is ever an attacking character, always make sure you deal with him first, since he is by far the least forgiving character out of the cast. After completing Night 5, we get another cutscene. Of course, we get our paycheck, which is only 200 rings, which is complete bullshit because throughout the nights, I was consistently collecting over 500, but fuck it, whatever, sure. I still don't even understand the whole point of us going to the pizza place in the first place, but sure. Knuckles makes his way back to the Master Emerald only to see Vector, Charmy, and Espio all knocked out by the emerald. Except they're not by the emerald because we noticed that the emerald is actually missing, but a piece of paper is left in its place. Looking at the paper, we see a picture of this goofy ass looking Sonichu looking fuck, and on the back of the paper is a note, presumably from Sonichu, telling us that if we want the emerald back, we can get it back on Saturday if we come back to the pizzeria. So fuck it, we don't get to enjoy our weekend. We have to go back to get this stupid fucking emerald again. Hopefully Night 6 isn't going to be fucking insanely hard. Right? Night 6 is fucking insanely hard. Like, really fucking hard. However, I do think it's probably the coolest night in the entire game. This night really takes Golden Sonic and pumps him full of crack because holy shit, he's insane on this night. Before we get into the night, we actually get to see one of the coolest cutscenes I've ever seen in a FNAF game before. Take a look.
Greetings again, Knuckles. You do not know how happy I am to see you arrive on such a dreadful day. In fact, I still need your help with the attention I rightfully deserve. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. I wasn't always like this. I remember that exact day when I came out of the machine. I immediately looked ugly because my colors were wrong, and I had these long arms. But it didn't stop the attention I got. It felt like I was a part of something big. It was only me on that stage. I was mad as my career was stolen by that doctor. Doesn't deserve that. However, I enjoyed the pain of being thrashed. Felt like it showed me a better way to get attention. I learned so much when going through that excruciating pain. The mindset I have right now is to kill someone. Not because I am a killer with no mind. I am a killer with a mind and a goal to reach. I could just kill someone that's very well known. Tear off their head, their limbs, leave them unrecognizable, and show it to the world. Show the world who I am and what I can do. I almost had that moment until that natural fool was able to escape my class. He was reported missing after showing his face here. It's not enough. me, Knuckles. There's no escaping, so a better idea would be for you to just give up and let me take you to a better world. What do you say? In denial. Fine. That was your way then.
Incredible animation. That's all I'll say about what I just saw. This might just be the coolest shit I've ever seen come out of a FNAF fan game before. And by the way, if you were curious, all of the art in this game was done in Ibis Paint. Anyways, let's start with the worst mechanic he has. Throughout the night, he will disable your ability to collect rings. So that's AIDS. How do you get the ability to do it again? Well, on this night, you'll be able to see a camera symbol inside of your cameras. Yeah. You know exactly what I'm about to say. When he disables your rings, he will randomly teleport to a camera and you'll have to fucking find him and flash him with your camera. Now get this. As the night progresses, when he does this attack, he'll have the chance to teleport to more than just one camera. That's right. Find him on the cameras up to 5 fucking times when nearing the end of the night. And what makes this even worse is that your camera flash has a pretty long cooldown, making me want to rip my foreskin off as I wait for it to charge up just to be able to flash him again. But we're not done yet. Golden Sonic has a fuck ton more tricks up his sleeves. To start, he still has the shining door mechanic you have to keep track of, so make sure you're keeping track of it. His next attack actually has him come into the office and start a miniature boss fight where he'll have several different attacks that he can do. When he jumps into your office, you'll see him start moving around, putting his arms up. When he swings his arm down, you'll have to face the opposite side of the office to dodge the attack. Do this a few times and eventually he'll try to do a full attack where he'll lunge towards you. When he does this, you'll have to block him and then punch him in the fucking face. Yes, I'm serious. This will deplete some of his health, and as I'm sure you could have guessed, this night doesn't end until you get Golden Sonic's health bar down to 0. But as the night progresses, his battle attack gets worse, just like his find him on the camera mechanic. The later the night gets, the more likely it'll be for a shadow clone of Sonic to appear in the office as well during his battle attack. While this shadow is in your office, you will not be able to deal damage to Golden Sonic. In order to make the shadow go away, you will have to hold your mouse on it. Except if you get unlucky, Golden Sonic could constantly camp the side that the shadow is on, leading to you never being able to get rid of it. Holy shit, this guy's fucking AIDS. As the night goes on, he'll develop another trick in addition to his battle attack, that being having Chain Chomps attack you as well. Occasionally, the top or bottom half of your screen will turn red. You need to make sure your mouse is not touching that red section. After a second or two, a Chain Chomp will glide across the red part of the screen, and if your mouse is there, you'll lose a life. Keep in mind, by the way, as you're dealing with Golden Sonic, all of the other characters are still active as well, so make sure you don't let that slip your mind or it's GG. But we're not done quite yet. Let's say you manage to get Golden Sonic's health down to 0. Just take a look at what happens.
We've only just begun our game, but now it's your turn to be left alone.
That's right, every other character deactivates and it becomes a full-on 1v1 battle against Golden Sonic. As this section of the night progresses, he'll obtain all of the additional abilities he got during the first half of the night. This includes the Chain Chomp attack, the Shadow attack, and fuck it, they actually add another trick on top of that. Now, when you only have about 3 punches left before winning, Golden Sonic will get the ability to fake you out, and he will do this every single time. Both your block and punch have a cooldown, so you can't just spam them, and the game tries to take advantage of this. When he goes in for his final attack, block him. However, don't punch right away as he's going to teleport to a random point in the office. You'll have to quickly find him and then punch him. If you punch too soon, like directly after the block, then it won't cool down fast enough before he starts his next round of attacks. This section of the night is brutally difficult, but I can't lie, it's probably my favorite part of the game. It's incredibly satisfying and feels really responsive. It's not janky, and every mistake will feel like your fault when you make it, which is how you know the devs really knew what they were doing. A really cool touch during this section is once you get him down to 3 health, all of the other characters will peer in through the doorways to watch the fight happen. They don't add anything to the fight, but I think it's just a really nice touch. But if you can manage to beat Golden Sonic, you will be met with one more quick time event where you will have to spam click to choose an ending. If you let him kill you, then obviously you get the bad ending. But if you can keep up with him, which really isn't that hard, thankfully, then you'll get the good ending. Knuckles beats the fuck out of not only Golden Sonic, but also every other character in the fucking restaurant, and even destroys the restaurant itself. Knuckles busts his way out of the restaurant, and we get the following cutscene.
Are you Knuckles the Echidna?
Yeah?
This is for you.
I'm confused. What do you mean by causing damage to property?
Well, for starters, you went ahead and attacked the spare clone we had. Not sure why it was moving, but it's severely valuable.
You mean that old junk with long arms? That thing looks as old as a rock sitting on the floor for centuries.
Some attitude, huh? Anyway, you not only damaged the spare clone, but you went ahead and demolished the entire building, as well as also damaging the other clones.
Well, what was I supposed to do? Those clones would have killed me if I didn't do anything. Have you actually acknowledged that in your weird-shaped head?
Look, we aren't looking for excuses. Just know you aren't allowed near company grounds for the rest of your life.
Whatever. That was a strange week. At least they know not to mess with a warrior like me.
Once again, the animation is completely on point here. The artists did an absolutely wonderful job. The story mode of this game has been amazing, but as I'm sure you could have guessed by the fact that I called it story mode and not just the game, we've still got quite a bit more to talk about. So let's start by talking about the custom night challenges and the 4 new characters they introduce. The first additional character I want to talk about is Daisy. You unlock her by completing the open and closed night, which also happens to have her in it. Throughout the night, her crown has a chance to randomly appear in the office and float towards one of your doors. All you have to do is close the door the crown is floating to before it gets over there, and that's literally it. Pretty underwhelming overall. The second character we can talk about is Toad, the character you can find in the SmackDown mode. This is probably my favorite, I can't lie. Occasionally, Toad will run into the middle of your office and you'll have to spam click the shit out of him until Knuckles gives him a fucking uppercut. Tell me that isn't badass, bro, because it is. The third character we can talk about is Blaze the Cat, who you can unlock in the Flash Photography Custom Night Challenge. She is also incredibly easy, but not nearly as easy as Daisy in my opinion. Occasionally, you'll hear her laugh, which means she'll either appear on camera 2 or camera 8. Figure out which one she's on and flash her and she'll fuck off. If you can manage to flash her within 4 seconds of her laughing, it'll actually make her take a little bit longer to attack another time. So be on that shit to deal with her as little as possible. The final character that Custom Night adds is Mighty. Mighty will at random appear in either one of your doorways, slowly charging up a punch. What you have to do is very simple. You just need to make sure that when Mighty attacks that the door he is at isn't closed. Otherwise, he'll completely destroy it and you'll obviously lose to one of the other characters. So that's all of the new threats Custom Night introduces, but would you believe me if I said we're still nowhere near close to done talking about this game, as the Custom Night also gives all of the 5 main characters an additional ability to make them even harder than they already were, and it's with these additional encore challenges where I feel this game starts to get really hard. Let's start with Sonic, who probably has one of the most ass hair ripping mechanics of the entire cast. After Sonic attacks your door normally, he will attempt to sneak attack one of your doors. You'll have to check the hallway cameras to see which door he's about to attack, and then hold your flashlight in that doorway until you hear him give up and leave. Most of these extra buffs will just be adding more steps to their attacks, which of course means you'll have to spend more time on them, which of course is why I feel that makes the game the hardest it can be. Mario's mechanic is also not very fun for us at all. Mario has the opportunity to completely skip his supply closet route and just head to your door with no sound cue at all, meaning you'll have to constantly check both doors now. However, he will not skip the closet 2 attacks in a row, so once you deal with his first attack, it should be pretty obvious which attack he's going to do. Yoshi's additional buff is really just more annoying than anything else. Every time you do the apple minigame in the cameras, the location of where the apple minigame is will change. It'll be marked on the camera, so it's not really that big of a deal as long as you have eyes. Tails' buff is insane. Occasionally, throughout the night, a random pop-up will appear on your camera. While it's on the cameras, Tails will leave his cove at an insanely fast speed. All you have to do is close the pop-up to get this to stop, but I can promise you that you're not gonna be as fast as you think you will be. Golden Sonic's buff is, in my opinion, a bit of a nothing burger. The only thing that changes about him is when you drop your camera, he has a chance to be right in front of you. All you have to do is pull the camera back up and it'll go away. Simple sugar. Now, you think I'd be done, but I'm not, because the 4 additional characters actually also get a buff as well. So let's talk about Daisy first. Pretty simple. You'll just get less time to close the door when the crown spawns. Nothing crazy. Toad's buff is just annoying. Now when he appears in your office, he'll run from side to side, making it just a little bit harder for you to click on him a bunch, but really nothing too bad. Blaze's buff is probably the most interesting of the 4 extra characters. Once Blaze appears, fireballs will start falling from the top of the screen. For each one you touch with your mouse, you will have 2 less seconds to deal with Blaze. So it's really important that you're good at bullet hell type shit for this attack, because she really isn't playing around. Now, Mighty's buff is pretty cool. After Mighty attacks your first door, when you deal with him, he will immediately move to your other door. Except when he gets to that side, you have less than a second to make sure that door is open or you're completely fucked. Now, that is actually all of the custom night challenges that this game has to offer as far as I'm aware. However, we're still not quite done talking about this game because it has an additional mode that you can play that's just like probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. Knuckles Week at Sonic's actually has a roguelike game mode that you can play. Holy fuck, I love this so much, it's not even funny. I will suck off whoever had the idea to add this. I will literally gape my cheeks for you. Please. All right, so this roguelike section is super cool. You start with all characters active, but their AI values are super low. The goal of the waves is to collect a certain quota of rings throughout the camera. With each wave, the number of rings you need to collect will go up. The game mode is pretty boring until you reach wave 5, wherein all AI will be increased by 5. And this happens with every subsequent 5 waves. Also, once you reach wave 5, you will get a random additional challenge to do each wave. The first challenge is Juicy Generator, which prevents you from gaining power from collecting rings. Instead, you will get the ability to charge your generator to 100% 6 times throughout the wave by holding a button in your office, so use them wisely. The next challenge is Red Rings. On every camera that isn't the camera with the normal rings, red rings will appear, and if you ever accidentally collect one, it will increase the speed of all of the other characters for the rest of the wave. The next challenge is something with your fucking doors. It just removes all of the door buttons from your office and adds them into the cameras. This honestly makes dealing with Mario and Sonic easier, so this is a pretty good one. The next challenge I want to talk about is pretty useless. It just prevents you from blocking, but if you aren't literally horseshit at the game, then you shouldn't even need to be blocking in the first place, so this one really isn't a problem. Now, the next challenge we'll talk about is Brutal. Occasionally throughout the wave, you'll get a character head appearing in the top corner of the screen. You will have to find that character on the fucking cameras and take a picture of them or you will die. This is easily my least favorite challenge throughout the game, for obvious reasons. I can't lie, it's brutal. The next challenge adds in those shadow Sonics we saw earlier. They will randomly spawn by your doors and prevent you from using them. Just hover your mouse over them and they'll disappear. This honestly sounds a lot worse than it actually is, so don't stress too much. The next challenge is fucking terrible. It's called Wacky HUD. And every single time you use your cameras, the HUD of the game has the chance to go to the top or bottom of the screen. It doesn't make the game hard, but it's really aids to deal with. The next challenge is called Blurry Cameras, and it does exactly what you think it would do. It blurs the cameras and grayscales them for some reason. Just take a look at this. It's awful, and I hate it. Faulty Flashlight is the name of the next challenge. This causes using your flashlight for too long to cause it to fucking break. You really have like no time at all to use it, so you better not be playing around with it for even a second. The final challenge we have to talk about is called Darkness. It does exactly what you would expect it to do. It covers your entire office in darkness, and the only way you'll be able to see anything is via your flashlight. So have fun. That's all of the challenges that this mode has, and I honestly wish it had some more. Obviously, this game's purpose isn't to be a roguelike, and I know that, but adding some sort of shop into the game or making the challenges stack over nights would be cool, since you'll only ever get one challenge per wave. But as far as I'm aware, that's all Knuckles Week at Sonic's has to offer. Overall, I think this game is a fucking masterpiece. There's so much post-game after the story mode, and if there's anything you guys know about me, it's how much I fucking love post game, and this game does not disappoint in that regard. The animations are crazy, and the soundtrack is some of the best I've ever heard as well. Polish in Five Nights at Freddy's games. What do you think makes a game polished? Maybe it's clean graphics, a good story, or perfect balancing? Well, of course, the answer is obviously all of these things together. And today we're going to be talking about a game incredibly polished. The game in question is Saturday Night at Freddy's, one of the newest FNAF fan games to come out this year, with a lot of hype behind it. I can promise you that it definitely lives up to all of it. Strap in because we've got a lot to talk about. So join me today as we dive into the world of Saturday Night at Freddy's. Before we even start talking about what's actually inside of this game, we need to mention the opening cutscene that this game has. We're in the POV of what I can only imagine is inside of a Freddy suit. We see something close the door to the room we're in. I have no idea what this is, but it does look very interesting, to say the least. We look around for a while, and then the cutscene ends, and we're booted into the menu only to hear literally the best menu music I've ever heard since Chica's Party World. I'm not kidding. This game has some of the best music you will ever hear. It's so fucking good. But of course, now it's time for us to actually dive into the game. Psych! Stupid idiot moron! There's yet another cutscene before the actual game starts. In it, we see the newspaper, as most FNAF games tend to have, and there's actually some voice acting, which I will admit I'm a pretty big fan of. Basically, there's this girl who we play as who is behind on rent. She says a guy named Benny disappeared, and she never wanted to go back to Freddy's. Who the fuck is Benny? I have no idea, but whatever. She ends up going back to Freddy's because that sounded like a better option than being a stripper, and OnlyFans didn't quite exist yet in this timeline. And now we can jump into the first night, which, by the way, the newspaper also says the job pays $30 a night, which is actually just robbery. I'd rather be poor. We get to watch an informational tape before the night begins, which really just explains how to deal with the first threat. But a little detail I noticed is that when this tape cuts to static, we get to see the faint outline of a certain golden bear. Anyways, moving on to the night section. We get a phone call on this night, but it's pretty worthless. The only interesting thing he says is that there are rumors that the animatronics are possessed. Who would have thought? Something interesting about this game is that it goes by hours instead of nights like Locked at Freddy's, and this game starts at 1 a.m. instead of 12 a.m., so that's cool. Moving on to the tools at our disposal, we do have quite a bit to talk about. Let's start by talking about the camera system, since it's a little bit different from what we're used to seeing. To start, it's powered by old-ass fuses, which is giving me flashbacks of Swing Shift at Farley's. The PTSD I have from this channel and making these videos is insane, by the way. Anyways, the camera has two fuses. Only one fuse can decrease power at a time. You'll have to switch fuses throughout the night to stop yourself from losing power. When you switch, the fuse you're not using will be slowly charged. You can also charge them a little faster manually. Pretty simple. Something I love, except I'm lying and I actually hate, is that the cameras don't have a map, and you have to manually cycle through them, memorizing where everything is by tap patterns, which is just always something I personally dislike doing in these games. But whatever, I guess I'll just have to put on my big boy pants and deal with it. Your fuses can also become overloaded, but I'll talk more about that when it becomes relevant. There are 3 entrances to our office, which really just makes me feel like I'm a little monkey in a zoo being watched from all angles. To our left, we have a door that we can hold closed. Pretty standard FNAF stuff if you ask me. In front of us is a window with a wooden sliding door that we can also hold shut. And to our right, we have a giant gaping vent like my butthole after burrito night. You can't close this vent, which is just the worst thing in the entire world. I swear, only vents in FNAF games don't have covers on them. This is so stupid. Of course, we have a flashlight that we can use to blind the children in the play area when they get too rowdy. It has no battery life, so you don't have to worry about that. One other thing to note about the office is that you can see a clock in the deepest, darkest corner of the fucking room that you can barely see. And when you hover your mouse over it, it'll obviously tell you what time it is. And I said that each hour in this game is equivalent to a normal FNAF night, so it'll look like it's moving a lot slower than other games. Alright, with all of that out of the way, we can move on to talking about the totally wonderful threats this night introduces, as it adds 2 characters to start off the show. This is actually something I prefer from other FNAF games. I get the idea of only wanting to introduce 1 character a night, and while I think that's good in practice, I do think the first night shouldn't only have 1 character. Just because this community has gotten so used to these types of games that night 1s tend to be boring. Unless it's a game like Juniors or After Hours at Cody's, which adds something completely different to the loop, then you can get away with only introducing 1 a night. But I don't make the rules. Do whatever the fuck you want with your games. This is just my opinion, which for some reason I have to say out loud because people are retarded. Anyways, moving on. Hour 1 introduces Endo, which is an endoskeleton, and Freddy, surprisingly. Usually they don't bust that big busty boy out until later in the game, but hey, I'm all for it. Let's start by talking about Freddy since he's more simple. Freddy will walk around the bar. Yes, by the way, the building we're in is a bar, so I can get absolutely crunk whenever I want to, which is just amazing. Hey, you come here often?
Fuck you!
Okay. Anyways, Freddy will make his way to your left door. Once he gets there, all you have to do is close it, obviously, until he slams his ass against it, and then you can open it again. But the attack isn't over quite yet. He has a chance after attacking your door to walk up to your window with a sick-ass animation that I'm in love with. Please keep doing animations like this. It makes me so happy, guys. But of course, if he does come over to the window, all you have to do is close that as well until he slams his penis into it like a baseball bat. But instead of a baseball bat, it's his penis, like I just said. Holy shit, I think I'm losing it. These jokes don't even make sense anymore. I'm just saying shit, bro. Something about Freddy, however, that really tickles me red, get it? As opposed to tickle me pink, which is like a saying for when you're flustered or something. No? Okay, I'll just kill myself. Anyways, he makes no sound cue when he gets to your door, and you can't just naturally see him there without flashing your light there, which is literally just the most annoying thing in the world. I think I've been spoiled too much from playing games with sound cues that now when there aren't any, it just feels wrong and evil and cruel. The next one introduced is the endoskeleton I mentioned earlier. He works in pretty much word for word, bar for bar, the exact same way as Freddy, with a few minor differences. To start, when he attacks your door like Freddy, he will never walk to the window right afterwards, except he does have a separate attack where he attacks your window directly. As opposed to Freddy's window attack, Endo has 3 phases in your window before you're actually in danger of him killing you. If you close the window before he reaches the 3rd phase, it will stall Endo in place. So you really just want to wait until he's trying to sneak a peek in your pants before you close the window on him. Strategy on this night is obviously easy. Just close shit when you need to. Both Freddy and Endo can attack you at the same time, but because Endo has multiple window phases, just deal with Freddy first and it's GG, no problem. And of course, Freddy will never go to the window without attacking your door first. Saturday Night at Freddy's has no post-night minigames. However, it does have a post-hour cutscene, which actually adds a feeling of realism to the world. In this post-1 a.m. cutscene, our character goes to the phone to call for help because obviously the robots are trying to killer. I can't believe it took the community this many years to make a character who isn't retarded and doesn't want to be here. The phone doesn't end up working, and she obviously panics and says she doesn't want to walk around the bar while the characters are roaming, which is also incredibly fair, and I would probably think the same thing too. This is undoubtedly the safest place for the time being. So with that, let's move on to hour 2. Moving on to hour 2, we've got 2 new threats to talk about. Honestly, I'm a little surprised we've already got 4 characters to deal with, but hey, I'm all for it. Who could it be? I don't know why I'm asking you guys this question. I'm the one doing the review. I should probably tell you. Bonnie and Foxy. It's Bonnie and Foxy that are introduced during this hour. Let's start by talking about Foxy, since he makes my blood boil. And I happen to piss blood most of the time, so it really just makes that experience very unpleasant. More so than pissing blood by itself already is. Foxy has 2 ways to attack you. On top of that, he's also an eye slut, which just makes me want to smother an owl. The first way he'll attack is pretty simple. He'll charge at your door and just kind of stare at you. Nothing crazy about that. Once he gets into your office, all you have to do is make sure you don't look at him because he has autism and eye contact makes him uncomfortable. Now, his other attack is interesting. First of all, I should mention that Foxy is in a box. Why do they lock him away like some feral fucker? Well, that's probably because he's a feral fucker. Call him Foxy the Pirate Software. Anyways, he'll start doing a little jiggy inside of his box. Of course, if you're not looking at him, he's gonna move. This second attack has him go for your vent. Once Foxy enters your vent, a sound cue will play. Thank God, I guess it's just Freddy who's an asshole about that then. When you see him in the vent, what you have to do is really weird and was incredibly confusing to figure out, as the game has a little bit of post-shift 2 syndrome and chooses not to fucking tell you what it is you have to do, so that's just wonderful. What you have to do when you see Foxy in your vent is go into the cameras and spam click the fuse power button to overload your fuses. I don't really understand why this makes Foxy go away, but it does, so just do it. The other threat introduced on this night is Bonnie, who is pretty simple overall. Bonnie only has 1 way of attacking, but it will really feel like 3 separate ways. I know that doesn't make sense, but shut the fuck up, I'm about to explain it to you. Bonnie can attack any of the 3 entrances to your office. When he shows up in either your door, window, or vent, all you have to do is hold your flashlight on him and he'll go away. I really wish it was more interesting, but it really isn't. That is what I would say if his window attack wasn't just a little bit different. When Bonnie chooses to attack the window, you will both be able to see him and hear him walking across the window over to your door. When he's doing this, you obviously still have to hold the light on him, but you have to be fast enough and do it before he reaches the left side of the window. Is this any different than his other attacks? No, it's just the same thing except there's an animation, but it looks cool, so I'm gonna talk about it anyways. Now we get to talk about the post-night 2 minigame, which I know I said there wasn't any post-night minigames. I don't know how you guys haven't figured out that I constantly fucking lie to you, but I'm lying again. Anyways, for some reason this game calls it the post-hour 1 minigame. It's literally post-hour 2, but fuck it, we ball. In this minigame, we get a checklist of things we have to do before the night ends. It's really just deleting files, but of course, we've got some threats to deal with as well, so let's go over those. There are 3 threats throughout this minigame. The first of which I'll talk about is Foxy. He attacks from the entrance on your left. You can flash this hallway, and that should make it pretty obvious what it is you have to do to stop him. But if it isn't blatantly obvious, all you have to do is flash him to push him backwards. Pretty simple. Also, when you flash this hallway, you can get a glance at a poster that's a reference to another fan game called 5 Newfangled Nights, which I've actually talked about on this channel before, and you should definitely watch that video after this one. The next threat to talk about is Freddy, who obviously attacks from the other side of you. He's a lot simpler in my opinion. Occasionally you'll hear him giggle right in your ear, and all you have to do in response is just look in his direction, since he's a fat femboy and doesn't like being stared at, so that'll make him go away. Now, I said all you have to do is delete files, and doing so is incredibly simple. Just open your computer and drag the files into the recycling bin. Now, I did say there were 3 threats, and we've only talked about 2. The third threat is a virus that is present inside of the computer that will try to prevent you from deleting files. All you have to do is close the fucking thing and it'll go away. Very simple. It's not a very interesting minigame, but I do really appreciate it when fan games add them, since it pulls away from the central focus of the game, which I do think is necessary sometimes. But hooray! Hour 3 time, and it's about to get crazy. Hour 3 is when I feel this game actually starts to get difficult, as it introduces one of the most annoying characters in the entire game, Chica. I know, I thought it was weird too that Chica is introduced after Freddy and Foxy, but it's honestly pretty cool, as she probably has one of the coolest designs in this entire game. Chica does what I was really hoping this game wouldn't do to me, and that's add a find them on the camera mechanic. But uh-oh, that's exactly what Chica is, so I guess I'll just go fuck myself. Occasionally, Chica will seductively giggle in your ear, and even though I usually would be ecstatic at this thought, this game's Chica is fucking disgusting, and I really don't want to pipe that. When she giggles, she'll teleport to a random fucking camera, because of course she does, and you'll then have to find which camera she went to and just fucking stare at her until she leaves, because we've run out of mechanics for this game to throw at us, which is incredibly disappointing. Oh yeah, that's not all she does though. She does have another way to attack you. She basically just turns into Freddy minus one step. She can show up at your window, and all you have to do is hold it closed until she leaves. I personally find it a little weird why they also gave her this attack, but I'm not gonna complain, because at least that means she won't teleport to a camera every time she attacks, just most of the time. Again, this night really starts to amp up the difficulty quite a bit. But in all honesty, I find this game so fun that even though it adds a mechanic that makes me want to rub my willy with a rolling pin to flatten it out, I still found myself enjoying this playthrough, which is really weird for me. Anyways, after you complete this night, we find a newspaper clipping that reads the following. Freddy's is closing. Following the death of Benny Carter at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, the restaurant is permanently closing its doors. After 3 years of operation, this controversy proved too difficult for the company to overcome. Currently, the creators are discussing selling rights off at a local auction. Quote, "It's a tragedy what happened, really it is, but we must continue business as usual," end quote, the owner stated. All right, if you guys remember from the beginning, Benny went missing. I guess now it's been confirmed that he got ganked at the bar. I don't really care about that. I never met Benny. I don't care about Benny. What the fuck ever, bro. Let's just finish this fucking shift. All right, on to hour 4. We get to see another tape that explains the character, but fuck you, even though I want to show you these tapes because they're adorable, I also still need to do my job and explain what the characters do myself. There is only one threat introduced on this night. However, that brings the total up to like fucking 6 or something. I don't even know anymore. This character is Foxington, since I guess we can't think of any other animals to add, so we'll just say fuck it and add another fox. Foxington starts from the kitchen because she's a fat slut, and makes her way to the office because that's where you are, and it's kind of hard to kill you without getting close to you. Her path is super linear from the kitchen. She'll go from left to right on the cameras, which makes it really confusing and hard to follow her. However, if she moves from the kitchen, you can overload the fuse in whichever room she's in, and that will make her go back a room, but obviously at the cost of overloading a fuse. Obviously, just don't let her get to your office and you're not gonna have a problem. She does have no sound cue when she moves, which really just makes me want to slam my dick in a car door, but what can you do, I guess? At the end of hour 4, something really interesting happens. We get the normal end screen, except that silly little bear clock we see will shatter and we'll get a cutscene. We enter a random room with the text on the wall foreshadowing a character by the name of Bite Bear. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I smell a boss fight night coming up soon. But for now, we can move on to the post-hour minigame. In this minigame, we're at an arcade cabinet for some reason. I thought our character didn't want to leave the office, but sure, whatever, I suppose. In this minigame, we play as Bonnie, and we have to serve a bunch of beer to Freddy because he's trying to get fucked up because his wife just left him. The goal is just to beat the high score of the game, which is very easy. However, as I'm sure you could have guessed, we also have some threats trying to terrorize us while we do this. The first threat during this minigame is Freddy. He makes a very loud laughing sound cue when he's close. When you hear it, all you have to do is pause the game until you hear him walk away. Pretty simple. Bonnie is the only other threat during this section. Bonnie has very big ass feet, so when he moves, it's very loud. When you hear him moving, you'll have to pause the game and turn to your left and hold your flashlight on him until he fucks off. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the scariest thing in this entire game, because just look at this guy and tell me he doesn't look like he's about to rape you, because I think it looks like he is. Look at those fucking soulless eyes, bro. Disgusting. Both Freddy and Bonnie can attack at the same time, and if they do, you'll want to deal with Freddy first. When you beat the high score, you'll hear Bonnie say something I don't fully understand. You'll have to deal with him one final time, and you'll see him turn and run away and knock over some shelves. When you look at the floor, you'll notice a Fredbear poster that just looks fucking disgusting. Like, seriously, bro, what kind of promotional material is this? Anyways, our character says that Fredbear was Benny's favorite, and I'm in shock that we're still wrapped up about this guy because who the fuck even is Benny? Bro, that's a terrible name, and he's dead, so just move on. Apparently, this poster also had a tape attached to it or something called Showtime 3693, which, if you're stupid, that is a date. And the tape goes as following.
Have you ever felt forgotten? Like you're a memory of something that once was. I don't even know what I'm a memory of. But I know why I'm a memory. You are not the only one who abandoned me. I remember back in the day, singing with the band. The kids didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know either. I was left to rot in that building. None of the ghost stories you've heard are real. That is not to say there are no ghosts at Freddy's. The others are no less of a machine than the computer you watch them on, but I'm not like them. I'm so much more. You know, it's not easy to keep yourself from insanity when all you hear is screams. But those screams are like music now. I enjoy making new friends. I find their screams intoxicating. I don't blame you for what happened. In fact, I think we can still be friends till the end. What you say we play a little game, like old times?
So, yeah, that was disturbing. Very disgusting graphics, I won't lie. But as I'm sure you could guess, that game he's talking about is in reference to Hour 5, which is so fucking cool. Let's jump right into it. Hour 5 is cool. At the start of the night, all of the characters will be active. However, at some point, they will all go away, and you'll be faced with only the boss that this night has to offer. Of course, Bite Bear. Bite Bear has 5 different ways of attacking you and 1 universal sound cue for all of them, which is a bit annoying, but I promise this boss fight is fucking awesome. Also, I need to mention how fucking insane the music for this boss fight is because holy shit, it's so goddamn cool. Bite Bear's first attack has him attack your left door and window. When this happens, you need to hold your flashlight on him and then close the door once he starts boogieing it down in your doorway. The same thing goes for the window. His second attack has him attack the vent, which in my opinion is the scariest one because just look, like, holy shit, this is terrifying. All you have to do when he's in your vent is flash your light at him and then turn away. A little underwhelming, sure, but it's still super cool. His third attack actually has him enter the fucking office, which is just so cool. He basically turns into Rat from Five Nights at Candy's 3. All you have to do is hold your mouse on his face 4 times. I say 4 times because he will move his head away from your mouse and will sometimes even jump to the other side of the office. This is 100% my favorite attack from him, without a doubt. His fourth attack will have him scream like a banshee. And now, just guess for me what happens. I'll give you a little hint. I'm a nice guy. I'm a kind, generous individual. I'll give you a little hint. This attack is a mechanic that makes me want to skin a baby alive. Oh, what's that? Huh? Did you say find them on the cameras? Well, guess what? You're fucking right, because of course it is. God fucking damn it, kill me! The craziest part, he can use this fucking attack at the same time as all of his other attacks! Fucking why? For what purpose was that part added? Just to make the whole thing so much fucking worse! This game has been so fucking good, but no! Every every time I start liking something, the dad has to pull their fucking pants down and just shit in my fucking mouth. Fucking shit. Fuck me in my ass. Find my fucking balls, bitch. I'm gonna split my scrotum open and hit my balls with a hammer so they split into little pieces. And then I'm gonna sprinkle them on all the fucking cameras and tell you to go fucking find them all. Fuck. Okay, I'm all right now. Fuck. Anyways, once you find him, just overload the fuse and that's it. All right, now let's move on to his final attack. Bitebear will send some little goons into your office. I have no idea what the fuck they actually are, but they'll jump onto your screen like the Minarinas from Dxtr location. Apparently, they're hallucinations, which if they are, I don't even know why we have to deal with them at all, but fuck it, sure. When they're on your screen, you'll have to spam A and W a fuck ton to make them go away. That's really about it. I think this is probably his weakest attack, either this or the vent attack, but the vent attack looks badass, so it gets some pity points. This boss fight is honestly one of the coolest fights I've ever seen from a fan game. It's so fun to play through, and the music during it is amazing. It doesn't do anything new or innovative, but it really does feel like an actual fight for your life, which I think is really cool. But as the fight goes on, the hallucinations start to get to you and your vision slowly fades to black. As you look around the office, Bitebear gets in and grabs you, but as he's about to kill you, fucking Freddy shows up and decapitates him. What the fuck? I literally have no idea why he did that. My only possible guess is that maybe Benny possessed Freddy and that was him protecting you. But if that was the case, then why was Freddy attacking us the whole time? I don't fucking know. This part doesn't make sense, but that doesn't stop it from being badass. We run out of the building and jump into our car. And as we drive off, we see Freddy standing at the door, waving us goodbye like he wasn't just trying to eat our ass 4 hours ago. The cutscene transitions into the claymation look we've seen throughout the tapes. The animatronics all celebrate for some reason, probably because the security guard left or because Bitebear's dead. I don't really know, but they all go back to the office only to find the corpse of a child hidden inside of the Bitebear costume. We get one final newspaper clipping explaining that the body was of Benny and that 2 other victims were also found inside the bar that have been decomposing for several years. So that means that Benny wasn't in the Freddy suit. So why the fuck did Freddy kill Bitebear? That's a question I don't think anybody except the developer has the answer to. And I know a lot of the developers end up watching my reviews of their games, so bro, if you want to explain that ending to us in the comments, we'd all greatly appreciate it because I'm confused as fuck. The credits are pretty cool. We're in the POV of a Freddy costume and we look around while the credits roll. But I'm not quite done talking about this game as it does have some fun post-game content to talk about, which as you probably know tends to be my favorite part of literally any game I play. Hey, recording Dxtr here. It just occurred to me that flashback at the start that we saw, like the first cutscene where we're in a suit and someone closes the door on us, I just realized like I didn't actually write about what that is, but I'm pretty sure that's probably like Benny, I'm guessing, in the Bitebear suit. As to what we saw close the door, I don't fucking know the answer to that one. The first custom challenge night is called Gone Fishin', which only gives you a flashlight, cameras, and a mask. You might be asking yourself, Dxtr, what the fuck are you talking about? A mask? You never mentioned that. And trust me, I know that. That's because this challenge is the first time it shows up. And during this challenge, Freddy isn't present because he took our fucking doors. Yes, I'm not kidding. We don't have any doors. He took the doors. It says that on the challenge mode. He took our fucking doors on a fishing trip. Why? That doesn't make the fuck he gonna use doors for? The fuck he go Titanic on the goddamn lake. Fucking using took my goddamn fuck off. Taking my goddamn doors. Get the hell out of here, bro. So instead, they replaced the doors with a mask. And the mask has a toxicity meter that prevents you from keeping it on all night. The mask is literally just the door. Just like every time there's a door mechanic, it just replaces it with the mask one. I don't know why. this matters. It could have just been the fucking, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyways, the next challenge is called Fuse You Lose, which uses Bonnie, Foxy, and Foxington, who, as you can tell, are the only characters that use your fuses. And in this challenge, you can only override your fuses 10 times. So have fun with RNG. This challenge sucks ass. Another round is a challenge that is just the prelude to the Bite Bear fight, so it's pretty fucking boring. However, Bite-Mare is insane and is just this game's all-20 mode, nothing super special. The final challenge to talk about is Wacky Saturday. It takes a page out of Crawlspace's book and inverts your fucking shit. Your vision stays the same, but your mouse will be completely inverted throughout the whole night. That's literally it. Just the most frustrating shit of all time. Mazel tov. Oh yeah, and something about Bite-Mare that's really cool. After you complete it, you get this cutscene.
Okay, what now?
There's a few boxes over here, and what's that?
I don't know, but we shouldn't move it. The company said only the main stage animatronics get moved.
Weird, but fair enough.
Anyways, let's just get what we have so far, and bring it over to the new place.
So two people go to move shit around, Bite Bear murks their asses, and then presumably climbs into the back of a truck. Why the fuck does he do this? I have no idea, and the game doesn't tell you, so I don't care. But with that, that's all Saturday Night at Freddy's has to offer. Overall, I think this game is fantastic. Crazy character designs, probably the best soundtrack I've ever heard since Undertale, and a story that I don't understand, but I can try to forget about that part. Unknown FNAF fan games. Five Nights at Freddy's games that not many people have heard about. Obviously, there are plenty of these. This series has been around for almost 12 years, and the fan game community hasn't slowed down one bit on new releases. I personally love looking at random FNAF fan games in my personal time and finding unpopular ones that might be hidden gems. And a few months ago, I received an email from a dev with an early build of their game. I played it and thought it looked interesting, and recently I found out the full version was released. This game in question is called Jackie's Forest, a very interesting FNAF game to say the least, and that's all I'm going to say about it here. Stick around because I have my fair share of things to say about this specimen of a project, so let's waste no more time and dive into the world of Jackie's Forest. Alright, where should we start? If you said anything except night 1 to that question, then I hate to break it to you, you might be just a little bit brain dead, but that's okay. I'm here to help you through this process, so we're going to be starting with night 1. Something I really like about Jackie's Forest is that while the night sections are usually incredibly easy, each of them are completely different. So there's going to be something new to do each night, so developing a strategy is pretty much impossible. Let's move on to talking about night 1, the threats we have to deal with it inside, and of course, the tools at our disposal. Personally, my favorite part of these videos is talking about the tools at our disposal, and that's funny because I'm straight up lying to you, cuh. Anyways, in the first night section, we're actually in the office. Surprisingly, we actually don't have any cameras, which I'm gonna be honest, kind of makes this entire section really boring. But please, don't click off the video. I promise this game is interesting. I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't. On the computer in front of us, we're able to look through our files and access a sound system that goes around the entire building. I'm willing to bet you're able to figure out what that means, but if not, allow me to explain it to you. Before I can explain it to you, however, I do need to talk about the first threat that this night introduces, Maurice. And no, not the cool guy from Madagascar. Unfortunately, it's just a disgusting fucking pig-ass, fuck-ass skunk. This motherfucker right here really likes the sound of children. So while most people dress up as monsters for Halloween, Maurice has been dressing up as Jared Fogle. So I guess he also dressed up as a monster, but it's like a little bit different because, like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Maurice will slowly make his way to your office. Shining your flashlight on the door in front of you when he gets close will reveal his rapist homo thug black boy face.
Don't be filming me, brother. You got your rapist homo thug black boys over there.
What the hell are you talking about?
All you have to do when you see him is play a sound from another room in your control panel to lure him away. However, this is where I have to talk about a truly disturbing and butthole ripping mechanic this character has. Do you guys remember the dreaded 1 in 7 from FNAF 3 with Springtrap? Yeah? The mechanic that gives Springtrap a 1 in 7 chance to just ignore the audio lure? Yeah, well, Maurice has that too, except this time around, instead of 1 in 7, it's borderline 1 in 2, because this motherfucker does not move a goddamn inch, and I'm sick of it. The dev really thought, oh, I know how I can make this character work. How about I make his entire mechanic just spamming a button until the player flips heads on a coin flip? Fuck him. But whatever. Once you eventually get lucky enough, Maurice will be dragged away. However, as I'm sure you could have guessed, that is not the only character active on this night, because if it was, this would easily be one of the most piss-poor sections from any FNAF game I've ever covered on this channel. So, who's the other little gooner we have to deal with tonight? Well, that would be Jackie, the character from the title of the game. You know, I always thought it would be pretty funny to make a FNAF game called Five Nights at whatever the fuck the name I choose is, and then never add a character with that name. Like, imagine Five Nights at Ronald's, but there's never a character named Ronald in the game. I don't know, maybe my sense of humor is just retarded, but I think that would be really funny. Anyway. Anyways, moving on to what Jackie actually does. Jackie's goal is to attack you via the window on your left. You can flash your flashlight to that window to check if Jackie is there. However, Jackie will also just make a fuck ton of noise whenever she moves. Once Jackie gets too close for comfort, all you have to do is turn the power to your office off until you hear her leave. And then you're Bing chilling, which is a quote from Martin Luther King, I'm pretty sure. But one last thing to talk about is the fact that this night is not time-based and is instead task-based. So you know what that means? No actual tasks have to be done. You really just have to click a button and wait for a loading bar to fill up and then click another button. So it's really just fucking time-based with a task-based blanket tossed over it. But once you finish the waiting simulator, night 1 will come to a close. But instead of just moving on to night 2, we instead get to talk about a post-night minigame because this game has those too. And trust me, the thought of doing a post-night minigame definitely does not make me want to put a hamster in a sock and start whipping it around like a mace. In this minigame, we need to help a squirrel pack food for a picnic. Seems pretty simple, and simple it is. Our first options for food are a piece of cheese or a fucking boot. Let's think about that, you stupid retarded ass squirrel. Have you ever eaten a boot? No, those go on your fucking feet. Next, she asks us what we can eat with the cheese, and our options are crackers or a fucking broken CD. Dumb bitch, why the fuck? Dumb bitch, why the fuck do you even have a CD that's broken? What could possibly be the point of keeping something like that in your house, hoarder? Throw it away, trailer trash. Next up, we've got to add some fruit. So she asks us what kind of apple we'd like to bring to the picnic. Except instead of the options being Honeycrisp, Granny Smith, Gala, or whatever the fuck, the options are apple or apple core. Jesus Christ, bimbo bitch. An apple core? That was on your list of things to possibly bring? You're wasting my time asking me these dumbass questions. For fuck's sake, what's the next question? Let's just fucking get this over with. Next, we have to bring some dessert, and our options are chocolate or a fucking battery. I bet these bitches aren't even charged either. Just some dead ass batteries for us to shove up our ass. No, we're not eating batteries. Are you a baby? A stupid drooling baby? These questions are so simple, for God's sake. Next up, we get to choose a drink. and the options are an orange juice box or unlabeled broken ass bottle with who the fuck knows what in it. I'm just done, guys. This is making my head hurt. No fucking shit, we're gonna take the juice, you dumb bitch! I swear to God, intelligence is chasing this squirrel, but she's just so much faster. Hopefully she doesn't ask another retarded question, because just like Kanye, I don't like retarded questions.
What? Please, next question. Please don't ask me any retarded questions.
Now, where should we pour our drink?
Are we serious right now? Are we actually so dead ass in this moment? Why the fuck would we pour the orange juice into some fuck ass rusty can with sepsis on it or some shit? And why would we pour it into the normal looking mug anyways? It was already in a fucking box with a straw. Guys, Sandy Cheeks has gotten a big downgrade. I hate this squirrel. But we have one last question. Please, don't be something stupid.
Now the most important part. What is the core of all life forms?
Oh. A computer chip or a pulsating brain. I don't really know why the brain is pulsating. They don't really do that. It's not a heart, but I guess I'll be picking that one. Cool. Anyways, then we go to the door to see our friends, but before we can leave, she says this.
Oh, silly me. How could I forget? We're never getting out of here.
So we're never allowed to leave the house. I'm stuck with this brain-dead rodent for the rest of time. Aye, gang. Time to blow my shit clean off. But snapping back to reality, we do see a strange figure in the window. Not sure who that could be, but I'm going to take a guess it's probably this game's antagonist. With the minigame out of the way, we're safe to move on to night 2. With night 2 coming along, we appear to be in a new location. This time around being the maintenance room. Immediately, you'll notice your mother sitting on the table in front of us. Thank God that thing is made out of the incredibly strong material it is, because if it wasn't, you know damn well that bitch would have snapped in the middle like a twig. Anyways, we'll start talking about her in a second. To start, the way we complete this section is just by shredding a bunch of paper using the shredder in front of us. It's literally just another click and wait task-based mechanic, so really just a waiting game. You'll see in the top corner that we have 10 pages to shred. There are 2 characters attacking us this night, just like previously. However, before we talk about them, I want to talk about the fact that your shredder can jam. And if it does, all you have to do is slap it like I do to my kids when they talk a little bit too loud, and it'll go back to working as usual. Next, we have the wall behind us, which has a thermostat on it. Throughout the night, there will be several instances where you will need to change the temperature. Why do we have to do this? I have no fucking idea. Just accept it and do it, you little piglet. If you don't keep the temperature in the right spot, then you'll either die of a heat stroke or get hypothermia and die. Either way, you're dead, so just keep it at a crisp digit. Now we can move on to talking about the characters we have to deal with on this night. And of course, we'll talk about the beastly woman that is your mother first. What she does is incredibly simple. Occasionally, she'll look up at you like she thinks you're the waiter at the restaurant bringing her slop over. All you have to do is stare at her until she snaps out of it, and then you can continue doing what you were doing. Notice how your mom doesn't get up off the table either? That's probably because it's incredibly difficult for her to lift her cankles up. First world problems, am I right? The only other threat on this night is Maurice. Maurice will try to sneak up on you through the door in front of you. Apparently, we're not allowed to just keep the fucking door closed, so we'll have to hold it closed ourselves. Maurice is very quiet, so you'll have to check the door constantly to listen for him. If you hear him there, just hold the door closed and eventually he'll leave and you can go back to doing what you were doing. After shredding all 10 pieces of paper, night 2 will be completed and we can move on to the next post-night minigame, which hopefully this time will not make me want to nya paka and then do something with a train. My Russian homies know what I'm talking about. Come on, high five, hands up. Yeah, come here, bring it in right now. Come close. No. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. All right, so this minigame is just nearly as infuriating as the last one is, but I'm going to try to hold my tongue for as long as I can. In this minigame, we have to help the skunk that looks like a wolf set up a tent. So of course, the first step to setting up a tent is picking the biggest bag of marshmallows we see. Literally, what the fuck is this? You don't need marshmallows to set up a tent, you dirty slut. After picking the biggest bag of marshmallows for the skunk and his fat fuck friends, miraculously, the poles for the tent appear. And I'll be honest, I'm not a big camper myself, but I'm pretty confident that that is not what the poles of a tent look like. Next, we have to pick out enough sleeping bags for everyone that will be sleeping in the tent. All right, yes, that makes sense. Finally, something here that doesn't piss me off. And when we select the correct number, somehow the tarp is placed over the tent instead of the sleeping bags appearing. Fantastic. This makes so much sense and totally isn't about to make a blood vessel in my eye explode. Next, we need to pick a super long rope. Now, at first, I thought we would use these ropes to connect the stakes that we're going to put in the ground. But instead of that, after selecting the longest rope, we just put the stakes in the ground and just punch that rope into the fucking woods or something, because as you can see, they're nowhere to be found. After we finish the tent, all we have to do is wait for the other people to arrive. Except while we're doing that, it appears that Maurice is hit by a fucking semi or something. I have no idea. That's what it sounds like, but we don't really see anything happen. Just this disgusting render of him staring at us. But with that, we can move on to night 3. On night 3, we're stationed backstage. Once again, we do have 2 threats to deal with throughout this section, and a task-based minigame that's just clicking and waiting once again. So let's talk about that first. We're tasked this night with deleting show stage sequences from, I'm assuming, the robot's AI? I'm not really sure, but luckily for us, what we're doing doesn't actually matter all too much. We do, however, have a fuck ton of them to delete, so this night will likely be the longest we've done so far. Anyways, on to the threats on this night. Once again, we have your mother, so let's talk about her. She will just try to walk up on you because she heard you have meat in your pants. Gross, not the type of meat we're talking about, you fucking buffoon. Once you see her, all you have to do is open up your panel and activate her sound sequence and it'll make her go away. Fun fact, the sound that actually lures her away is just the Burger King jingle, which really goes to show how down bad your mother is for food. She's eating Burger King? I didn't even think she would stoop that low, yet here we are. The other character active on this night is Jackie. You'll be able to see her on stage, which we are directly behind. Occasionally, she will leave this stage, which means in a few seconds, she will approach you. When she does, all you have to do is hold your light on her and she'll start shaking like the cashier at Wendy's when I hold him at gunpoint. And then she'll go back to the stage. But that's really it. While this night is probably the longest so far, I do feel it's probably one of the most underwhelming. But then again, if I'm being honest, the gameplay in this game as a whole is pretty underwhelming. Anyways, let's move on to the next post-night minigame. Just kidding, fuckhead. There is no post-night minigame this time around. Instead, we're just booted to night 4 because we're not allowed to have any fun apparently. So on night 4, we set up shop in the playroom. Why? Well, apparently we were chased in here by animatronics or something. I'm not really sure why we're here because we're never explicitly told, but we can work with it. Phone Guy tells us that he'll try to work on activating the speakers to get the characters to fuck off for long enough for us to escape. But in the meantime, we'll have to defend ourselves from 3 characters instead of just 2, except it really is still pretty much just 2, but I'll explain why in a second. Let's start by talking about Jackie, since she can't seem to leave our nuts alone. Bars. She will attempt to attack us from the playhouse door. When we see her, all we have to do is close the door and she won't be able to see us. You'll also notice that unlike the door from night 2, this door doesn't have to be held closed and can actually be toggled. So what's stopping us from just holding the door closed the entire night? Well, that would be because of your fat fuck mother. That's why. She's programmed to play hide and seek. And while the phone guy says it's to play it with the children, I personally happen to know that it's really because she plays hide and seek with the waitresses and tries to hunt down the food they're carrying out to the tables before they can get it to the customers. I'm no idiot. So yeah, all you have to do to avoid her is just not keep the door closed for too long. So she really doesn't have a mechanic. She's just a consequence to abusing another mechanic. So for that reason, I'm saying she really doesn't count as a character on this night. Who does count as a character is the actual other threat on this night. The skunk Dick. He will try to attack you through the playhouse window. During this night, you're equipped with 15 balls. Why? Because he's a dick, that's why. Whenever you see Maurice appear outside of your window, just throw one of the balls in his direction and that'll distract him for a while. We obviously can't spam these balls since we only have 15 of them, but if we need to, I'm willing to BME Pain Olympics myself to get 2 more. But with that, that's really all we have to do. No task this time since we're surviving, so it's a pretty typical sit and survive kind of night. But with that, this night will come to a close and we can move on to the next post-night minigame. In this minigame, we have to help your fat shit mom mom bake a cake. She says it's because she invited her friends over for a sleepover, but we all know your mom ate her friends because she was hungry. So she's really just baking this cake for herself. Fat ass. To start, we need to grab the butter. Thankfully, it appears this time that there's nothing fucking stupid to piss me off. The only thing that really does so far is the fact that the egg, for some reason, has way more white than yolk. Like, way more than usual. That does not look natural at all. Somebody has got to check the chicken that shot that fucking thing out of its dick. Eggs come out of the dick, right? Next up, we gotta add sugar and mix that shit up like I do with all of the babies in the nursery while the nurses aren't looking. Next, we add the fuck-ass egg and the vanilla extract that smells way better than it tastes. Finally, we mix it again, add in the flour and the milk, and mix it one last time. I've made a few cakes in my time, and I'm pretty confident that we used these ingredients out of order, but fuck it, I don't really care. And while the cake is being baked, we're asked if we can find the TV remote since they're all going to want to watch something. And while I'm sure you can tell by looking at your screen where the remote is, what is much more interesting to do is slowly looking to our right, where we will begin to hear the sound of a dog scratching at the door. Click on the door, and we see this.
Are you lost, little one?
I'm looking for my dog.
A little white one?
Yes. Have you seen him?
Yes. He's here with me. He misses you a lot. I was looking for his owner.
Can I please see him?
Of course. Come with me.
So, this dude in a rabbit mask 100% stabbed the shit out that kid, right? It's not just me thinking that? Okay, good. Just gotta make sure we're all on the same page because, and again, I'm no FNAF expert or anything, but I'm pretty confident he killed the shit out that kid. Anyways, with that, the minigame ends and we can move on to night 5. Night 5 takes place in the boiler room, and this night is something else, let's just say that. And by something else, I mean by far the most anxiety-inducing night so far. Why? Not because of how hard it is, because it really isn't that hard at all, but instead because of how long it takes to make the 2 threats go away. Let's talk about it. The first threat on this night is once again, for like the millionth time, your fat as fuck bouncy ball looking ass mother. She probably heard that it was called the boiler room and assumed that meant that's where they boil the water for all the pasta she's forcing down her throat. Fat pig bitch. Literal pig bitch. When she approaches you from behind, all you have to do is hold the gate closed until she leaves. The other character, Maurice, is who makes my nerves ache like they're exposed and somebody clapped as hard as they could with them in between them. When he appears around from the corner looking at you all seductive like, all you have to do is turn to the massive valves in front of you and turn the smallest one at the bottom right. This will cause a whistling sound to play, which is supposed to scare him away. Except, here's the funny part. Do you remember how during night 1, he had a very large chance to just not fucking listen to the sound cues at all? Yeah? Well, he does that here as well. Isn't that just so fucking awesome? Hell yeah, it is. We love that. This is why this section is so nerve-wracking, because this dude just doesn't ever leave. I love it. Anyways, on to what we actually have to do to complete this section. It's pretty simple. The phone guy will slowly read off different pipe colors in a specific order, and we'll have to turn the corresponding pipes in the boiler room in the correct order to complete the night. Very easy, but not so when the fucking skunk won't hop up off me. Once we get close to turning all the valves, you'll notice that if you turn around, the stupid squirrel will be present instead of your mom. Very weird, since as far as we were aware, she wasn't supposed to be showing up at this time, so why is she here? After finishing all of the valves, the building shakes. Turning around, we'll see the gate is open and the squirrel is gone. And soon after that, the building shakes again and we black out and the credits roll. Closed down restaurant is burned to the ground by boiler failure. Last night, the restaurant, Jackie's Forest, is burned down to the ground due to an explosion caused by a lack of maintenance of the boilers. The building had been abandoned on January of this year, and it was rumored that the explosion was caused by a lack of proper maintenance from the workers when leaving the building. One casualty was reported, as only one body was found in the remains of the building, crushed by rubble and burned to a crisp. It is theorized that this may have been a burglar or homeless person, as the building wasn't operating and didn't have any workers in it. The 4 animatronic performers the restaurant was known for were found in unusable conditions and will be relocated to a storage facility owned by the company. And that nets us this game's bad ending. Now I know what you're thinking, and trust me, I'm thinking the same thing. How the fuck do we get a good ending in this game? And please, dear God, tell me it's not that I have to collect a random item in each night. Well, thankfully, no, we don't have to do that. Instead, during the boiler room night, if you just completely fucking ignore what the phone guy says and spam the shit out of all the valves, for some reason, the whole building shakes and we get teleported to a room with an elevator. Entering the elevator, we get the following cutscene.
Eddie, I told you to stay in the boiler room. What are you doing? You're in grave danger. You, can't leave the boiler room, much less go into the elevator while the building is falling apart. You have to turn around and leave now. I don't think you're listening to me. I said turn around. Go back to the boiler room. You are not supposed to be in the storage. Not only is it unsafe, but there is confidential stuff down there. You have to leave now.
Ignoring the fact that voice acting was completely awful, I do find it kind of odd how the phone guy really wanted us to turn back, and why he didn't want us to go to the storage room. But with that, we exit the elevator and do exactly what he told us not to, enter the storage room, which actually acts as this game's 6th night. So, here we are in the storage room, by far the most interesting night in this entire game, mainly because there's more than 2 things for us to do. This night integrates every single character we've seen so far, alongside a completely new threat. Let's quickly go over the tools at our disposal first. To start, this is the first night in the game with actual cameras. However, you want to hear something really funny? They're completely useless. So the only thing I'm going to say about them is that the character renders in these cameras are actually pretty creepy for what it's worth. So let's start going down the list of characters on this night and exactly what they do. We'll start with Jackie. Her whole goal is to attack your right door. You won't be able to see her there unless you flash your light in the doorway. If she's there, simply close the door until she leaves. Simple sugar. Maurice is much the same, except he attacks your left door, and instead of closing the door, you'll have to wear a mask you somehow pulled out of your ass, since as you can clearly see, the lever to the door is fucking shattered. The next character to talk about is your pig bitch of a mother. She will try to attack the giant hallway in front of you. When you see her there, all you have to do is pull down the massive gate and she won't be able to get in. As you can probably tell, just because there's more characters in this night in no way means that this game gets any bit harder than it has been. But finally, we can talk about the brand new character on this night. I don't know its name because we're not told, but I'm just gonna call it the Prototype, since I bet that's how uncreative its actual name is. Hey, recording Dxtr here. I went into the custom night. Its name is Nulls, so yeah, just keep that in mind. I'm gonna keep reading it as Prototype since that's how I wrote it, and I'm lazy, but just know it's Nulls. The Prototype has 2 ways to attack you, your left door and the hallway in front of you. For both instances of attack, all you have to do is put your mask on and it'll go away. This night is really fucking boring, guys, I can't lie. But with that, just survive until 6 a.m., which is much shorter than most FNAF games, and we get a new newspaper clipping. Engineer arrested after evidence is released by fire survivor in Jackie's Forest restaurant. Last night, the restaurant Jackie's Forest burned down to the ground after an explosion caused by boiler failure. The failure was caused by Eddie Garcia, a worker who was misinstructed by Harvey Turner, the engineer of the restaurant, who is being charged with attempted murder and obstruction of justice after it was revealed by Garcia that Turner had sent him to destroy incriminating evidence from the building. Garcia was able to survive and escape the fire and is being sentenced to home arrest for complicity, while Turner will be kept in custody while the case is investigated. Some evidence links him to 2 local cases, but nothing is confirmed yet. The restaurant had closed in January of this year, rumored to be because of the Maddie Denton case, a 7-year-old girl who went missing in the restaurant on September of last year. And with that, we get the good ending. As far as I'm aware, no more lore as to what the fuck is going on with the weird dude or the dead dog or the dead kid, so I'm just gonna leave it and pretend like it doesn't exist. I mean, I guess if you want to analyze it quickly from that newspaper clipping, it's kind of hinted that Turner, or the phone guy, is the one that killed the girl and the dog or something. I don't fucking know. But with that, that's all Jackie's Forest has to offer. Like I said, I was actually sent a demo of this game a few months ago by the devs, which only had the first 2 nights. And I remember thinking that this game could do something pretty cool if they polished it up a bit. And while from the demo I got, the game has definitely gotten a small upgrade, I figured I should give it a white video the moment I saw the full version was released. Overall, Jackie's Forest tries to do a lot of things, but I personally think it falls short in all of them. I don't think it does a very good job at telling its story, considering I was literally able to piece together pretty much none of it. I know there's at least one dead kid and a dog and some weird stranger guy that probably killed some kids, but who is he? What does the prototype thing have to do with anything? And who are any of the characters besides our own and the phone guy? That's just completely unknown to me. And on top of that, while each night is unique and I do really like that, I just feel like each night could have had something more. Because as this game stands, while I do like the character designs, I do think that those are the only memorable parts of this game. Stories in Five Nights at Freddy's games. Typically one of the most talked about parts of these games we love so much. However, I do need to bring up a question. When's the last time you've heard a FNAF story that you actually found interesting? After all, most of the stories in the genre are just retellings of the original story, and I think we can all agree it's starting to get old. Of course, every once in a while we get a masterpiece like Graveyard Shift at Freddy's or Chica's Party World Rebaked, but when's the last time you can really say you heard something completely new? Well, the game we'll be talking about today, in my opinion, has one of the best stories of all time. Split into 2 games, it goes on to tell one of the most unique stories FNAF has ever told. And the time between releases was almost an entire decade, with the second game only coming out earlier this year. The game we'll be talking about today is called The Last Sigh, the FNAF game with the most depraved story. The Last Sigh begins with a cutscene which takes place in an 8-bit minigame side-scroller. Usually these minigames are top-down, so this was pretty interesting. The art was actually pretty nice as well, and before we really dive into this game, I should make it clear that originally I'm pretty sure this game was in Spanish, as it has just been dubbed into English. So in some places there will probably be some spelling errors in translation. The opening cutscene gives us our main character, whose name is Valentina, which is 100% the name of a porn star. Actually, I just checked, and while it's not the first name of a porn star, it is the last name of one. We learned that our grandma, whose name is Omegna, which is insane by the way, has given us a job as a security guard at her antique shop. Why does a family-owned shop need an overnight guard? That I have no idea. Either way, our mother isn't happy with us because she wants us to have a different job. Why? I don't know. A job is a job. Why are you pissed off? Vernon, the name of this guy, no idea what relation he has to Valentina, but whatever. He says that our mom is impatiently waiting for us and our grandma wants us to sign the contract to work for her quickly since the shop has been suffering. And first of all, why would I sign a contract to work for my grandmother? That just seems a bit weird. And second of all, if the business is struggling, why are you hiring another employee? That doesn't even make sense. Eventually, we do sign the contract and voila, get the reasoning for this entire game even existing. We even get a cute little note from our grandma telling us good luck, which is usually just seen as a kind gesture, but in this specific situation, I'm going to take it as a sort of threat. After that, we get our first phone call, and this is where I noticed that this game does phone calls exactly how Project Readjusted 1 did phone calls. That being having the phone call take place before the actual night. While that may be nice to help us just sit and listen, something you'll notice about these calls is that they are literally long as fuck. And to really let you know how long they're going to be, I'm just gonna play out the first call in its entirety, since it also does a really good job of setting the scene for this game.
Hello? Cristobal?
Hello? Valentina? Is that you?
Yeah, it's me. What's up? Why did you call me at this hour?
Well, your parents asked me to call you in order to be sure that you and Camilo have arrived at Granny's shop and that it's alright. It could be done by their own, but, you know, they're a bit busy with their business trip and all that.
Yeah, I know. By the way, it's not necessary for you to call me and worry about me. I'm fully grown up. I can take care of myself.
If you say so. By the way, it's probably that they're more worried of Camilo than any other thing. By the way, how is he?
He's alright. He's sitting in the corner of the room playing with his tablet. He wanted to explore the place, but I'm scared of letting him go around alone. When I officially start my shift, I'll send him to sleep in the back room. It's full of boxes and those things, but I adjusted it to make it more comfortable. To be honest, I feel it was dumb of my parents to have him come with me. Also, this place is a bit spooky during the night.
Spooky?
Yeah, it looks like the perfect place to make a horror movie with those overused jump scares and those cheap resources.
Come on, don't be shy. I don't believe that ghosts and those things really exist.
I don't know if I believe that, but I feel as though one of those armors at the entrance will become alive and start moving around.
Oh, I think you have seen a lot of television, cousin. From now on, only focus on watching who enters to rob the things of the shop. Then, if you like, you can worry if the doll of your room is cursed or not.
So funny. Alright, what else did my parents say?
Well, they also asked me to try and convince you to quit that job. But I know you aren't going to do it. Even if I asked you to do it, you're so obstinate.
It isn't only obscenity. I need the money. I've been more than a month without work. Also, Grandma needs my help.
I know, don't worry. I'm not going to ask you to quit, but just take care of yourself. If anything bad happens, call me, okay?
Okay, I'll have it in mind. Although I'm economically bad, I still can't pay for the phone bill.
I see. It's fine. I'll call you tomorrow then. Now, I gotta leave. Because I have a early shift in the police department.
Alright. Anyway, I have to rest too. Talk to you tomorrow. Rest well.
You too. Take care. Good night.
So, that was long as fuck, huh? The reason I showed you that call is because it explains a lot of backstory about our character that I didn't want to have to talk about myself because I don't really like the lore of these games, I can't lie. But here we go. We're watching for thieves and apparently the place is haunted. Who gives a shit? Let's just get into the actual gameplay. But hold up, guys. I gotta interrupt again to tell you all that we officially are partnering with Makeship again to bring you an all-new Romeo Skaggs plushie, baby! You guys absolutely loved the first Skaggs plush that we released a few months ago, and I've been getting messages from you guys showing me that the new plushies have finally arrived. And since our last campaign did so well, Makeship wanted to work with me again. No petition this time. Just go to the link in my description to pick up your very own Romeo Skaggs. He'll be there for you when the Huzz aren't, which, let's be honest, is probably all the time. And I'll make a deal with you guys. If we can get this Romeo Skaggs plushie to get 1,000 sales by the end of the campaign, we will release another plushie of Skaggs in a maid dress, since I know that's something a lot of you freaks have been wanting. And our last plush almost sold 800, so I know that this is a milestone that we can hit. What are you waiting for? Go to the link in my description and cop yourself the new Romeo Skaggs for when you're having those lonely nights. Thanks again for all of your guys' support. I wouldn't be where I was today if it wasn't for you. Now, let's get back to the video. Sorry for interrupting twice. All right, so night one. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. This game is fucking terrible. Holy shit, it's so fucking bad. But we'll get into exactly why as the video goes on. Before we start talking about the 7 threats this night introduces, yes, I'm serious, it introduces fucking 7 of them, we should talk about the tools at our disposal. Let's start with our flash beacon. It's basically just a flashlight, but shittier. You know how with a flashlight you can toggle it on and off? Well, not the flash beacon. Every time you click, a fraction of a second of light will burst out of the shot, basically illuminating nothing. You have no battery life for this beacon, so if you want to see something, then what you have to do is just fucking spam click a lot, and this is what it'll look like. Doesn't that just look so fucking fun and totally not the most annoying thing in the entire world? Of course, we have a camera system as well, as you probably could have guessed. They also have no power attached to them, thankfully. Something to point out about them is that there is a metric shitload of characters you'll have to look through. Except, I kind of lied because even though this game has this many fucking cameras, only about 5 of them are even actually important, so we'll just get used to those. You can also use your flash beacon while the cameras are up, so if there's something in your office and and you know it's there, you can flash it with your beacon while searching through the cameras, which honestly is pretty nice. The final tool I want to talk about right now is the turntable. To your left, you will see this turntable and it's connected to an extension cord. You have to click on the glowing red switch to turn it on, and once it's on, the power to the building gets turned off and is used to power the turntable. I really have no idea why this happens, but it happens, so let's just live with it. All right, that's about all of the tools that really matter. So let's jump into talking about the whopping 7 fucking threats introduced on this night. I have no idea whose idea was to add that many, but fuck it, let's just talk about all of them. And just a fair warning, the names for the characters in this game are flat out the most retarded shit I've ever heard, so prepare yourself. The first character we'll talk about is Huggins the Clock. And yes, it's literally just your clock. They made it a threat because fuck it, why not? Pretty cool though, I can't even lie, I've never seen something like that before. Every single time the clock changes to a new hour, Huggins will desynchronize his clock from the actual time. When he does, you'll have to quickly add or remove an hour from the clock to sync it back up. If you don't, then he's gonna put his clock without the L directly in your rear. Pin and Pawn are the next 2 fuckers I want to mention. They're these little stupid dolls on your right desk. At random, they will just fall over. Fucking retards. When they do, all you have to do is flash them and they'll jump back up onto their stands. If one of them leaves the table, you don't lose, but if both of them leave, then it's game over. Something you might be noticing is that these threats are not very challenging sounding at all. And while that's true that most of the characters in this game don't pose that big of an issue, what makes the game truly fucking horseshit is its terrible case of post-shift 2 syndrome, as it literally never tells you under any circumstance how to deal with these threats. It's not mentioned in any phone calls, it's not written down anywhere, and there's not even an explanation after you die to a character. You're just left to fucking figure it out on your own. Do you know how stupid that is? Do you know how retarded that is? Who made this game? Satan? Because I don't know anybody else that could create dog shit quite as steamy as this fucking pile of fecal matter right here. Anyways, let's continue. There's still a fuck ton of characters to talk about. Just keep in mind that you're never told what I'm about to tell you. Pandy the Panda is both the most generic name for a panda of all time and the next threat this night introduces. Pandy will start on camera 2B and move to 1B, then 1A, then 3C. Before we continue, I want to mention that every single animatronic in this game has the exact same sound cue, and it is incredibly loud directly in my fucking ears. When Pandy gets to your office, you need to very precisely put your mouse in the middle of his face, not a pixel too far left or too far right in the middle. Then spam your beacon right in his stupid bear eyes. Do this enough and he'll start violently shaking, which would imply you gave him a seizure, which I really hope is canon. And then after that, keep flashing him more since you can't stop when he's shaking. Only then will he finally leave you alone. All right, Dovey the dog is the next character to talk about. He is the first of 4 camtronics I want to talk about. And camtronic is a new term I'm coining to reference a character in a FNAF game that solely takes place on the cameras. I expect it to be used forever now. Thank you. Anyways, Dovey is super easy. Most basic camtronic of all time. He will start in Cam 2A. He's gonna try to progress through 3 different phases in this camera, and all you have to do is flash him once to make him go back on stage. If at any point you let him progress 2 stages, then he'll never be able to go back to stage 1, instead having his furthest back stage be stage 2, obviously making him much more scary to deal with overall. So how about we all just agree to not let that happen? Next up is Trojan, not the condom. Instead, it's the troll face mafia gangster. Yes, I'm serious, that's its name. I think it'd be more serious sounding if he was just a box of condoms, I can't even lie. Trojan starts in camera 3A and is quite literally exactly the same as Dovey. Seriously, the mechanic is identical. Just flash him to keep him away, and that's it. Next up is Dibby and Daba. Holy shit, these might be the worst fucking names yet. I can't quite decide. They're all so uniquely terrible. These characters are basically just one since they move together in tandem. They're in camera 3B, and they do the exact same thing as Trojan and Dovey. Are you beginning to notice a pattern with these camera characters? Because I am. They're all the fucking same. Flash to keep them back, Moving on. Finally, we move on to Karen, who is the name of a fucking dragon. So why the hell did they give a dragon the name Karen? Who knows? But do you guys want to take a guess what she does? She starts in either camera 4A or camera 4B. She can move between these two cameras whenever she wants, but her central mechanic is exactly the same as all of the other Camtronics. That being, you just have to flash her every once in a while to stop her from fucking you. Hooray! Doesn't this just sound like such a fun, cool, and awesome game? No. Yeah, that's because it's just fucking not. This game doesn't have any post-night minigames, so that means we're free to just jump right into night 2, is what I would say if we didn't have another phone call. And remember how long that last phone call was? Yeah. Well, the phone call for night 2 is 6 fucking minutes long! No, I'm not joking! Why the hell is it so fucking long? It's double the length of the first night, and we're not even in game, so we can't even click through the cameras. We're actually just stuck looking at this stupid fucking wall for 6 minutes while some bitch talks into my ear about some shit I'm really not paying attention to. God fucking damn it, bro! During the phone call, Valentina mentions no signs of intruders, but of course mentions the moving characters. Parallels are drawn to the robots that move around the Fazbear restaurants, so I guess this game takes place in the same universe, so that's pretty cool. Haven't really seen that since we've covered Jolly. They talk about how the characters are sensitive to light, which we've already had to figure out on our own. Our cousin says she'll bring it up to grandma, but for some reason, we say we'd rather figure it out on our own. Why? I don't fucking know. Moving on to the night section. Night 2 introduces 3 new threats, bringing the total up to 10, and it's only the second night, so I guess I'll just kill myself. The first goon I want to talk about is Snowball and Ghost, the first not completely retarded name I've heard in this game. And these characters are the sole reason why we need our record player or the turntable. It's the same fucking thing. He serves to be an annoyance character and not a character that will actually kill you. Throughout the night, Snowball will turn off your fucking turntable himself, and will keep his finger over it to prevent you from turning it on. This is where Ghost comes into play. While your turntable is off, Ghost will start to slowly manifest in front of your desk. Once he fully appears, he'll rip you limb from limb. Now you might be thinking, if I can't interact with Snowball, how am I supposed to prevent this from happening? Well, once again, the game never fucking tells you this, but after a certain amount of time, God knows what, Snowball will just choose to take his finger off the turntable with no sound cue, allowing you to turn it back on. So you just need to constantly be checking on this guy to know if it's safe or not to look at him again. And look at this stupid fucker's smug ass face. Stop looking at me like that before I take your carrot and shove it right up your ass. Next up is Matty Gavillion, who I'm just going to be calling Matt because typing Matty Gavillion just takes way too fucking long, and I'm not about to do all that like 16 times. Occasionally, Matt will start to play a little tune on his guitar. The song will either be in your left or right ear. If you hear it in your right ear, you have to flash your vent, which I've neglected to mention so far because up until this point it hasn't been important. Anyways, if you hear the guitar on your left side, then all you have to do is flash the hallway until it stops, and congratulations, you done. Moving on, the final threat introduced on this night is Cocoa Bite, who is pretty straightforward. He will make his way from camera 2 all the way to the front of your office. You deal with him in the exact same way you deal with Pandy. You may be wondering why I'm talking about a game that's this fucking boring, so I'll go ahead and spoil the surprise for you. This game has a sequel that is a lot fucking cooler and that I really do want to talk about. But in order for me to do that, I have to first talk about this fucking dumpster fire. Anyways, night 3 time. Phone call for night 3 is 5 fucking minutes long for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Solely this long, probably just to piss me off. The phone call reveals another instance of supernatural phenomena where Valentina experiences nervousness and hallucinations intensified by the turntable's music. The cousin provides advice to unplug the turntable, but Valentina hesitates for sentimental reasons and practical concerns of breaking antiques. The turntable cannot simply be unplugged because of the snowman's interference. Maybe perhaps cutting it would work. They talk about not bringing Camillo, which I'm pretty sure is Valentina's cousin, in for night 4, and that's really all the phone call has to talk about. During night 3, you get the ability to cut the cord on the outlet to the turntable, but spoiler alert, if you do, Snow Bitch will just kill you, so don't do that. Pretty cool that you're allowed to though. This night only introduces one new threat, but if there's one thing you know about this game, it's the guy we're about to talk about. His name is Naybar, which those of you with a keen eye will be able to notice is an anagram for Barney. And the reason why it's an anagram? Oh yeah, it's because Naybar is literally just just fucking Barney. Why did they not call him Barney? I have no idea. Unfortunately, he's not even remotely interesting at all. He's just exactly the same as both Pandy and Cocoa Bite. Get to the office, spam flash him, and he leaves. Boring as fuck. Now, at the end of the night, we get some dialogue of Valentina going into the back room where Camillo is supposed to be, except Camillo is fucking missing because he was kidnapped, and it was at this point where I really started to question what the fuck I was even playing. We hear a scream, presumably Camillo's, followed by a disembodied voice saying, and night 3 comes to a close. What a wild ride so far. Let's move on to the night 4 phone call, which thankfully this time is only a single minute long, so I'll just let it play out.
Valentina, where are you?
In Grandma's store, of course. I have to find Camillo.
Are you crazy? It's dangerous. You should stay home. The complaint is already made, and your parents will come back tonight. Leave the search for Camilo to the police.
I can't do it, Cristobal. Don't you understand? I can't sit idly by for the cops to decide to act. They said they can't do anything until several days have passed since the complaint. I don't plan to wait that long.
It's part of their protocol.
I don't care about protocol. What if it's too late? You know what? Forget this. I'll find Camillo by myself.
Night 4 introduces 2 new threats, and thankfully, one of them actually has a new mechanic, so let's just quickly talk about the fucking snooze fest first, that being Bait and Clop. He's just Pandy again, come to your office, flash, boring as fuck, now into the goods. The next threat introduced on this night is called The Armor. The Armor is really fucking cool, but he's so slow that you'll honestly barely encounter him, which is really unfortunate because once again, he's really cool. It'll make its way from the entrance to your office, and this time, instead of just flashing his face, you have to turn on the turntable until he leaves. Now listen, I know I said he was gonna be interesting, but shut the fuck up and trust me, we're not done talking about this game yet, so it'll get a little bit better, I promise. But that's really all Night 4 has going on, so let's move on to Night 5. Night 5's phone call is back up to 5 fucking minutes for no reason. Why is it doing this to me? I want to kill myself. This is torture. Valentina makes a voicemail to Cristobal. She's expressing her deep concern over his and Camillo's disappearance and the supernatural events encountered. She speculates that the antiques and animatronics themselves might be responsible for the thefts and movement within the store, indicating sentient or autonomous behavior in the haunted setting. Suddenly, a sinister voice mocks the player, marking the probable endgame scene or a game over scenario. The antagonist reveals they had to get rid of Cristobal and warns the player they might not escape alive, though she might get to meet him soon. Alright, Night 5 introduces both the best, yet at the same time most frustrating character throughout this entire game. That character is Nico Gavillion, who I'm just going to be calling Nico since that's a hell of a lot easier. Throughout the night, Nico will randomly appear in front of you with a ring around him. The ring will be filled with letters of the alphabet completely scrambled around. You need to click the letters to spell the word Nico using the letters around him. This is a really interesting mechanic, and I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm not gonna question how it makes sense since this game has already made it clear there's weird paranormal shit, so who knows, maybe Nico just doesn't like his own name for some reason. Also, for what purpose did they have to make this guy's head so fucking big? God damn, bro! Of course, the AI of all of the other characters are increased as well, but that goes without saying. But that's all this night really has to offer. After completing it, we hear Valentina send a voicemail to her grandma. The final voicemail to grandma frames most of the events. 5 nights of ongoing terror at the antique store, strange animatronics, and supernatural activity. Valentina insists on meeting in person to reveal the bizarre occurrences, acknowledging the disbelief others might have, but underscoring the urgency and danger. She states before she leaves that she wants to look around the place, noting a door she saw that piqued her interest. And yes, by the way, Of course, even after that, there's still a night 6. And no, there's no boss fight night. That wasn't really a big thing back when this game was made. It's just a harder version of night 5. Who really cares? What we do care about is the cutscene that takes place after night 6. This cutscene goes back to the 8-bit style we saw at the beginning of the game. In this minigame, it's revealed that our grandma has been evil the whole time or some stupid bullshit nobody cares about. The part that's actually kind of cool is Valentina gets fucking jumped by grandma and is stuffed inside of a puppet suit left to die. Fantastic. Nice to know all that work we did was for nothing. Anyways, that's all the last Psy 1 has to offer. As I've already said, there's another game that I actually really do want to talk about, so we'll hop into that in just a moment. But I really want to mention how piss poor this game is. Granted, this is probably one of the oldest fan games to come out of this community, so you can give it a little bit of leeway there, but I just can't get over how there are like 15 characters in this game, yet somehow only 4 mechanics. That's just insane to me. Really gives off some FNAF 2 syndrome, which like, yuck. I hate that shit. Anyways, let's jump into a much better game, The Last Psy 2. The Last Psy 2 opens to yet another 8-bit cutscene. We get to see Valentina being put into the suit again, picking up right where we left off. Grandma casts a fucking spell that does a body swap using her own soul, which is just insane. Didn't know Grandma knew the dark arts like that. We then see Coco Bite, yes, the animatronic, talk to Cristobal, who I'm pretty sure is Valentina's cousin. It never says that this is Cristobal, but I literally have no idea who else this could possibly be. And I'm pretty confident that it is indeed Cristobal. Anyways, Coco Bite says he'll let us go so that this is on our back. That's literally what he says word for word. I think what this is supposed to mean is that the vision of Valentina dying will forever be looming over our shoulders. Like we'll hold the weight on our shoulders. I'm guessing that's what that means. I'm not totally sure. Again, originally these games are in Spanish, but he says that next time there will be no witnesses. We then get another cutscene talking about some functionality test. We click on the snow dick a few times and then see the armor, and then this happens? The screen turns red? I don't really know why, but that's what happens, so sure. That's cool, I guess. And with that, we're thrown into this game's version of the phone calls, which thankfully are actually something this time and not just boring dick. During this section, we're put into an old haunted building. We get a call from a girl named Francesca, and she asks us if we have everything ready to get going. She gives us the rundown on where we are and what we need to do each night. Who cares? The name of the place we're at is a theater called Eternos Recuerdos. While on the phone with Fran, we're not able to respond to her for some reason. However, we have a camera in our clothes, which I'm assuming is just like a body cam or something, as this was another line a bit lost in translation, and that we should flicker our light for our responses to what she's saying. We have 5 things with us every single night. Our earphones to listen to Fran, our flashlight, which you may notice in this game calls a lantern. This affects puppets and animatronics. We get a screwdriver for some fucking reason. I really don't know why. A defense device, which I will just be calling the DD. We use this to hack into different systems, whatever that means. And of course, it needs electricity to function. And finally, we have a lighter in case the flashlight isn't enough light. Sure. As we walk through the doors, we enter a U-shaped hallway of the theater. There are 3 paths that we can take. However, on night 1, we only need to go right. Before we get to the office, we have to go upstairs to reach the room every night. We can run up the stairs. However, there are puppets close to us that could attack us if we run. But if we just take longer and walk up the stairs instead, they won't ever attack. So just take your fucking time and walk to avoid the problem. They always say the best way to block an attack is not have to block it in the first place. And that applies here too. Once we get to the office, we're told our goal for the night. But before we talk about that, let's go over all of the tools at our disposal. To start, there are 4 directions we can look. Directly in front of us is our computer, to our right is a window, to our left is the door, and behind us is a bookshelf. We of course have a camera system. However, we need to flash activate them to see the rooms. This will be a lot more important later, so I'll talk more about it then. In this game, there are also a very small amount of cameras, which I'm very grateful for since the last game almost gave me a heart attack with how much it had. Once again, we have infinite power, so we don't have to worry about that either. Our DD, or defense device, is our main source of defense, as the name would suggest. It has its own tab, kind of like the mask from FNAF 2. However, you cannot use it at the same time as your cameras. This thing is a little confusing to use and is really a pain in the ass. We have to use it to hack the PC password and get into the PC for the tasks we have to complete. When an animatronic gets near, a notification will show up on the DD. Pull the DD up and it will give you exact instructions on where to point your flashlight. You don't need the device to be selected on a specific character for this to work. It has all the animatronics and Huggins the clock for some reason, even though I never encountered him during the night sections, which would make me think he's a rare encounter or something like that. And our DD has infinite power, so that's really nice to not have to constantly worry about that. The next tool is our flashlight, which of course we use to deal with the animatronics. There's no power source to it, and this time it doesn't only light up for a fraction of a second and is actually a normal flashlight for the love of fuck. It works in tandem with the DD like I've already mentioned, as the DD will tell you a random part of the animatronic's face you have to shine the flashlight at. It's going to swap between facial features multiple times, so just make sure you're really ready to pay attention. Every animatronic has a different location and a different amount of times you need to flash them. So that means it's time for us to start talking about the threats that this night introduces. The first is Pandy. You remember him, right? Yeah, you remember him. He's cool. He'll make his way to your door. Once he sprints in front of you, you have to flash him 3 different times in 3 different places to make him go away. Again, the DD will tell you which places to do this in, and since it's random each time, I can't really tell you. This is super easy, but of course, it's only night 1, so that's to be expected. The next threat introduced on this night is Cocoa Bite. He's a lot slower moving than Pandy is, but overall he's the same, except he goes to your window. So this whole night will pretty much just be a Five Nights at Candy simulator where you look left, look right, and respond when you need to. Now, all of that was pretty boring, so let's move on to the tasks that we have to complete during this night. Of course, we need to hack into our wicked bitch grandma's PC and upload her files onto our DD. Every night requires a different type of files, and as you can see, there are a fuck ton of files that we have to upload each night. On night 1, we need to steal 90 megabytes of audio files. They're not all in one spot, and you'll actually have to dig through her files to be able to find them, which I actually think is pretty cool. That doesn't sound like a lot, but Grandma's internet is doo-doo ass, so this is gonna take a while. Something really interesting about this game is that if you complete the tasks before the night ends, then the night will end early, which is really nice and I like a lot. There's no post-night minigame, so we can just jump right into night 2, which does have us go on a side quest before going to the office. Once we get to the hall, Fran has us go down the left hall to investigate. We're greeted by a locked door. On the right, a doll and a door. We're told we have to find a key. All we have to do is knock on the locked door, look at the doll, pick up the key that the doll has for some fucking reason. This is like some Ao Oni shit, and enter the room before the doll can straight tickle my shit. Entering the room, we're told to turn our light on and exorcise spirits inhabiting different objects. Really getting into the paranormal stuff in this fan game, and I'm all for it. We have to exorcise 8 groups of objects, and at the top of the screen, we'll see which object has progress, and the progress doesn't increase if we aren't holding our light on them, which is how we exorcise them. Of course, one of these little side quests wouldn't be complete without a threat we have to deal with at the same time, and this time we have to deal with Barney. Barney will randomly show up on either the far left or far right sides of the room. All we have to do is flash him and he'll go away. Simple shit, really, but after that, we can go to the office. The file choice we have to download tonight is text files. You do this the same way you did it the last night. We have 2 new threats introduced on this night, and one of them is already recurring from approximately 37 seconds ago. So let's start by talking about Barney. Barney is just an eye slut. Awesome. We love those in our FNAF games, don't we? Barney is in camera 5, and he will make his way through several phases before attempting to spit inside of you. Literally, all you have to do is stare at him with the flash on, and this will make him go away. Not very hard at all, and you really won't have to do it that often during this night. Plus, you'll get a warning at the bottom of the screen when he's attacking anyways, so it's super easy. The other character introduced on this night is Jimmy. Quite literally the first normal name in this entire series. Jimmy is the character that sits behind you. Throughout the night, he will slowly wind himself up behind you. He'll try to move around a lot in an attempt to kill you, but he also toys with you a little bit. You will have to check behind you very often, and if he ever moves from behind you, he will either go to your left or your right. Figure out which side he went to and flash your light on him, and he'll go back to being behind you, and the cycle will continue. But that's really all we have to talk about, and at this stage in the game, you won't really need a strategy since it's really easy, and I honestly think that finding the files you need to find is a lot more difficult than actually dealing with the threats. All right, night 3. The moment I knew this series needed to be covered in a white video, since this night really shows off how this is not going to be your normal FNAF fan game. It's so much more. During this night, by the time you get to the theater, there's already an animatronic activated and waiting for you. Going into the hallways, we see Cocoa Bite waiting for us, so we run to the auditorium. Once we load into the auditorium, the game turns into a fucking first-person free roam game. What the fuck? This is so cool. I was honestly not expecting this at all, and this section of the game is honestly one of my favorites. In this auditorium with us is Pandy, who will randomly roam around. Our goal is to scan Pandy with our DD for a reason I'm not totally sure on, but of course, we can't let Pandy see us. We will have to follow him around the room, hiding behind chairs so that we're not spotted. This section is in no way difficult, but I do think it's super fucking cool and something that more fan games need. We need sections in games where interesting shit like this happens. It makes the whole process feel so much more enjoyable. I actually have no idea why we need to get data from him, and this honestly just raises a lot more questions. After leaving the auditorium, you get the option to either leave the building or go to the office. Spoiler alert, if you choose to leave, Cocoa Bite will just pack your shit up because he's waiting for you by the entrance. So our only real option is to go into the office and start the night section. The file type on this night we have to upload is image files, and I'm really hoping we don't find Grandma's goon folders while searching. All right, on this night we have 2 new threats introduced, and one of the previous threats gets an upgrade that makes him a lot more aids. So let's start with him. This character in question is our favorite fucker, Barney. He can now attack any camera with a visual cue of his fake form. When this happens, you must find him on the cameras. Fucking just shoot me in my fucking head. I can't remember the last time I didn't have to say that in a white video. Please kill me. Anyways, once you find him there will be 6 letters circling him. This part is very reminiscent of Nico from the first game. Take a look at these letters around Barney. I want you to take a guess what it is we have to spell with these letters. Go ahead, take a look. I'll give you some time. Let's look together. I'm not fucking seeing it. I'm not fucking seeing it. All right, that's enough time. Did you make your guess? Well, I bet you got it wrong because you have to spell no real and he'll finally fuck off. Why do you have to spell no real? And why does this work? I have no idea. Don't get me wrong, I love the new mechanic, but I would also love it if it made sense too. Anyways, the next threat introduced on this night is Barry. Barry attacks your door and he's way more difficult than Pandy and Cocoa Bite are. He only has 3 places to flash him. However, he moves like a fucking crack addict in Florida whenever you flash him, making you have to play aim trainer like when you're in school trying to copy what the teacher wrote on the board, but they're low-key standing in front of it. The whole flashing process with Barry also takes a fuck of a lot longer than both Pandy and Cocoa Bite. So say your prayers, little boy, because if you don't got aim, I hate to break it to you, but you're totally fucked. The final threat introduced on this night is Batenclop. Foul and disgusting name, by the way. He's pretty much the same as Barry, except he attacks your window instead of your door. And holy fucking shit, if you thought Barry spazzed out when you flashed him, you are not ready for Batenclop. Just look at this little fucking sped. He's going insane. I wish you the best of luck if you have bad hand-eye coordination, because this is fucking brutal. Oh my god. All right, now it's time for us to talk about night 4. Tonight, we have to go to the left hallway and investigate because we make terrible decisions instead of leaving. Do you remember the other door on the right side of the hall from last night? Yeah. That's where we're going. You'll have to deal with a little doll before entering the room. All you have to do is hold your light on him, and that's it. Then we can enter the room and the real fun can begin. Once you enter the room, we get greeted to just a bunch of random shit. We can see a Bonnie mask, statues, cum socks, and for some reason, even the rat from Five Nights at Candy's 3 is here, which is pretty interesting. Anywho, of course, there's a threat, and that threat is Jimmy, who I am not excited to see at all. So this part is really fucking confusing, I can't lie, but I do think it's pretty cool. Basically, you'll have to hold your light on Jimmy to keep his ass on the floor. He will jump up and move around the room like Vinny from Five Nights at Candy's 3, so you'll have to be following him around quickly. Once he drops to the floor, another doll will appear, and Fran tells us we have to burn her. This is the real reason we have that lighter. As we burn her, random words will start to appear and slide across the screen. You'll then have to hold the lighter on her and make sure your mouse doesn't touch any of the words, or else the doll will crawl up inside of you like that gerbil you didn't tell anybody about. You fucking disgusting freak. You'll have to repeat this process until you kill the doll, and then we take her with us for something else later. No, it's not sexual. Stop thinking like that. I'll get into why we take the doll with us in a little bit. Let's jump into the night section now. The file type we have to collect this time is video files. Now I'm really hoping we don't find Grandma's goon folder. This night doesn't introduce new threats, but it does upgrade the 3 threats we talked about last night. Barney now will not appear in camera 5 anymore, instead opting to just be an asshole and spam his spelling lesson attack a lot more, which really just makes my penis invert up inside of my body. Barry and Batenclop get the same upgrade on this night, but it really just makes them completely terrible. They were already pretty bad from how much they moved around, but on this night they can actually move the bookshelf behind you and fucking blow your guts up from the back whenever they feel like it. So now you've got a lot more shit you constantly have to check on, which just makes this night take a whole lot longer to beat. This night is where you'll actually start to need a strategy, since this is where the difficulty really starts to become apparent. Every 2 to 3 files you upload, you should turn around to check on Jimmy. After that, deal with any other immediate threat like Barry or Cocoa Bite. If Barney ever attacks, always deal with him first, since he will be your biggest issue by far. And the other animatronics will give you enough time to deal with him, thankfully. Whenever you deal with any threat, check on Jimmy, then go back to the files. This makes the night take a pretty long time, but it's by far the safest way to play. Now, it's at this point where this game gets really interesting. It consists of 2 different endings, and of course, I'll be going over both, covering the bad ending first. If you get all of the files from nights 1 through 4, instead of loading to the entrance, now you'll be greeted with a skull. He greets you with a somber, "Yo, here we are." That's how I imagine he sounded. Anyways. He states that you have every single piece in your hands, and asks if we're smart enough to solve the small puzzle. I personally am retarded and have no idea what he's talking about. But if you say no, or say yes and get the puzzle wrong, then you'll get to proceed to the bad ending. And he'll tell us that it's sad that our fate was decided, which really doesn't give me a good feeling at all. Loading into the entrance, we're told to go to the auditorium to investigate. Upon arriving, we see Huggins in the middle of the aisle. Literally just go left or right and he won't kill you. No problem. Making our way to the stage, we see an animatronic we don't know the name of, but it appears to be aggravated by our presence. We ignore it and leave for the office, only to find out that that very animatronic is following us. Getting inside of the office, the night begins, and at exactly 15 seconds, we're greeted to our DD bugging the fuck out and the computer being turned into a console, as the name on our DD changes to Rover. And that's a perfect segue into the only threat present on this night, Rover Lee. Rover Lee is obviously a boss fight character, with mechanics that were shown to us way back at the beginning of the game. Let's go over the computer first, since that will be the main way we deal with Rover. The computer has the text Rover Lee Lockdown Core. If you type help, you'll see 3 commands. CLS will clear the text on the screen, out will expel the souls for 15 seconds, I'll go over what that means in just a minute, and move X will move Rover towards a camera, so you can just replace the X with the name of the camera. When you use the out command, it takes between 25 and 35 seconds at random until the souls get expelled. Again, I'll get back to that in a second. The computer has a random chance to have an error, because RNG needs to be in every FNAF game for it to be interesting. The error will slow any expulsion, but will not cancel out the already expelled souls. All you have to do is click and hold a bar at the bottom of the monitor and you'll be chilling to get rid of it. Oh yeah, and you can only use the move command if Rover has all of the souls expelled. Now let's talk about Rover Lee, the actual boss. He has 5 different attacks that he can use, and I'm not gonna lie, some of them require the best hand-eye coordination I've ever seen in my life. His first attack is just him being an eye slut for a majority of the night. You have to watch him on camera 1A to stall him, but if he moves, he will never move back unless you specifically use the move command. His second attack, he'll have him reach your office, and if he does, you'll have to do a standoff against him. You will get a prompt saying that Rover is near your door. You have to look at the door with your DD up and then play some Five Nights at Candy's 3 type shit, tracking his face like this is AIM Labs. He'll jump from one side of your office to another, to behind the computer, to in your urethra, a whole bunch of fun shit. You need to have insane reflexes because you cannot afford to mess up for even a second. Honestly, it's best to just make sure he never reaches your office by using the move commands and stalling him, because this attack can quite literally last for the entire night. It's fucking fucking brutal. Attacks 3 and 4 are pretty much the same, so I'll talk about them at the same time. Rover is possessed by 2 different souls, and each of them can attack you. The blue soul can only attack your door, and the orange soul can only attack your window. This is where your DD really comes into play. You have to tune the color frequency of your DD to match the color of the soul that is attacking you. That doesn't make any fucking sense, but it pleases the demons, so please the demons I will do to make them hop up off me. His 5th and final attack has both of the souls attack you from behind. When this happens, you have to turn around and face a Rover like a ghost. You need to look him in the eyes like your girlfriend asks you to do, but you have autism, so it makes it really hard, and use the DD to match the color frequency 3 times instead of just 1. Sometimes the color can change, and sometimes it'll stay the same, which is obviously the option we'd want because that's easier. The strategy for this night is generally easy, but acting like this night doesn't require more skill than most of the other final nights I've talked about on this channel would be an understatement. The moment the night starts, you'll want to immediately type out. Once this happens, stare at Rover until you need to deal with the souls or fix the console. Rinse and repeat until the end of the night. And honestly, if Rover ever gets into your office, just restart. Because I promise you, you're not going to survive that fight once he's in. You just won't. If you can survive all the way until 6 a.m., Rover Lee will enter your office and fucking kill you. Spotting that you've been controlling them from the computer, they are rightfully pissed the fuck off. A cutscene plays of Rover confronting Grandma, calling her daughter, saying that she lied to them, and complains a bunch like a woman. Then Rover fucking evaporates Cocoa Bite and Pandy and then RKOs the shit out of Grandma. Actually a batshit crazy insane ending that I personally love. But we can't forget that all of that was just the bad ending. We still have the good ending to talk about. Before we start talking about the good ending, we need to talk about the files we've been collecting throughout the game. I'll go over them in detail a bit later, but that's going to take a really long fucking time. So instead, I'll just give you the quick rundown summary now. Omegna, the grandma, had a sister named Sani. Their mom died and their dad became an alcoholic. They ran away after getting beat, only to be brought in by an old lady. Sani steals some shit and Omegna slaps her for doing so. Sani runs away and is never seen again. It was never Omegna that was doing all the shit we've been going through. Apparently it was Sani. Again, that's a very, very rough outline of these files. I'll do a deep dive in a few minutes. Don't you worry your pretty little head off. Yeah, guys, my favorite part about eating a Reese's cup is peeling the panties off. You're gonna leave that in, aren't you, editor? Asshole. Anyways, now we can talk about the good ending. Back to the skull, the puzzle he asks is, what trick did you fall for? There will then be letters for you to spell with, and you need to spell the word twins. These twins, I'm imagining, is in reference to the sisters. He then says that everybody fell for that, and then asks their names, which you will then need to input Omegna and Sani. He will then state that there is something more important than the names. He asks us which one is the which, and you need to answer Sani. Bars, by the way, right there. Sani was the one behind it all along. She fooled everyone and made Omegna go to prison for a crime she never committed. She made you think our family betrayed us. The skull then asks, who of them are in jail? Which of course we know is Omegna. So that's what you have to answer. Yes, by the way, this section is incredibly convoluted. I'm aware, just stay with me for a little bit longer. Finally, the skull says we know what we have to do and wishes us good luck. As we load into the entrance, we're told that we talked about a hidden room inside of the building. Fran is worried a bit, but trusts us and helps us by luring whatever is inside out. We're told to hide in the utility closet from way back in night 2. Entering the room, we're met with Barney. He looks very beaten up and broken, which is why he wasn't attacking on night 4 and camera 5. That makes sense now, and I honestly think it's a really small but cool reveal. He says the witch is who hurt him, the same person who took him back to life, giving him a new life. He says that the state he is in is the cost of the ones who made her angry. And I'm gonna be so honest, I have no idea what the fuck that means. I'm nowhere near smart enough to comprehend it, so hopefully you guys can. He says that nobody here will let us leave, not even the witch. He says to give up and turn ourselves in, and how he doesn't regret anything he did. He just wanted to see the kids smile. Now I really have no idea why the fuck he added in that last line. Very fucking weird, and I'm just gonna choose to move past it. We leave and are told by Fran that the bookshelf is open and it's clear to go in. Going through it, we find another staircase that leads to the home, the name of the place the animatronics go when they aren't active. Upon arrival, we notice that we have to unscrew a case to acquire acquire a key. However, this is of course not going to be as easy as it sounds. During this section, we have two of the most fucking aggressive characters I've ever seen in my entire life. It is insane. But before we talk about them, let's go into the layout of this section. Looking to your left, you'll notice the doll you picked up from night 4. Her name is Jenny, and she is how you deal with both of these threats. But holy fucking shit, the hitbox on this goddamn doll head is fucking ass. So fucking tiny for no goddamn reason, fuck! You must drag Jenny's head to make her look at either of the two hallways to the room we're in. The left hall has Bait and Clop, and the right hall has Barry. Now, when I tell you guys that these two are aggressive, I mean it. Holy shit, the goal of this night is to just slowly unscrew 4 screws, but it takes so fucking long because these two will quite literally be attacking you every 2 seconds. And that's not an exaggeration. Just look at the screen right now and tell me this doesn't look fucking insane. Every time you successfully turn Jenny's head towards them and flash them to make them go away, they seriously have a chance to show up again immediately afterwards, making this section take fucking minutes and minutes longer than it would ever need to. And one of the best parts is that they can both attack you at the exact same time. That's just fucking perfection. I hate it here. Fuck! This means you literally have a chance, and a pretty likely chance at that, to encounter them 4 times in a row. You are going to make so little progress unscrewing these screws, it's ridiculous. However, once you manage to unscrew everything and grab the key we need, we go back upstairs and start the night. During hours 0 through 3 of the 5th night is all well and good, just the normal characters like we're used to. Except with one small tweak that they turned on the fucking gas this night because holy shit, it's like seriously quadrupled the difficulty of night 4. It is fucking insanely hard. All of that is well and good, but once you hit 3 a.m., Rover Lee activates and it's pretty much just night 5 from the bad ending. So just use the same strategy we used then and we'll be golden. No problem at all. Just for the love of fuck, don't let him get in your office because that minigame is more impossible than Shadow, Rat, and Cat all challenges, I swear to God. Once you reach 6 a.m., Fran tells us she's sorry and that everything is ready for us. She also mentions to check the safe that's been in our office this entire game. Inside, we see the doll Valentina is possessing, which I actually think is really fucking cool. This part honestly reminds me a lot of the ending of Saw 2, which, quick little spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen the Saw movies and really want to, it reminds me of the part at the end of Saw 2 where they revealed that the main character's kid has been stuck inside of a safe in the room they were in the entire time. It's so fucking cool, I love it. We grab Valentina and burn the building down as we leave. We then see a cutscene with Sanny. She's obviously pissed as fuck and is about to start her villain arc. She says she won't let herself be caught and that nobody is going to be happy, which just screams sequel right in my little gamer ears. But that is all the good ending has to offer. And now, sadly for me, I have to fulfill a promise I made a few minutes ago and talk about the files we collected, which is really just going into the extras and doing a fuck ton of reading. So let's just get all that bullshit over with. Let's start with the audio files. They consist of our great-grandfather's music, the sound of the curse Sanny uses, and Camillo's ghost, which is pretty fucked up. You have the ability to recreate the memories from these files, and doing so gives you an 8-bit minigame to play around in. The audio memory has us play as Omegna as a child as we see her father wallow in despair. She then leaves to go to her room and sleep, giving her dad some space. By the way, all of these minigames are going to piece together that summary I gave you before the good ending, so if it sounds like I'm repeating myself, it's pretty much because I am. The text files are a bunch of newspapers with a fuck ton of words. Like, oh my god, so many goddamn words, I really don't want to read them all, but fuck me, I'm gonna do it for the video. I'll have the editor put Subway Surfers or some shit on the screen, and for those of you that don't care about what these newspapers say, you can skip to the time on your screen right here to just learn about the minigame we'll be talking about directly after. Newspaper 1. Mysterious serial thefts of animatronic dolls continue to baffle the city. Friday, June 12th, 2015. All the missing animatronics belonged to large restaurant chains or family-run establishments with locations in the region. Last Thursday, June 11th, a 4th animatronic figure was reported missing in the city, this time from the Animagic's Burger Place, restaurant located on the outskirts of Santiago. The figure in question is Barry. a shark that performs magic tricks for the audience, and a companion to another of the missing animatronics. The establishment has already been closed for about a month due to the disappearance of another of its figures and the restaurant's mascot, Coco Bite. The security cameras had been damaged since the previous incident, so no footage was found of how the figure disappeared. With this incident, the total number of disappearances in just 2 months has reached 4. Previous disappearances included Pandy, whose original Chinese name is Tao, Batenclop, the animatronic from Batenclop's Terror House, and the aforementioned Coco Bite from Animagic Burger Place. The prosecutor's office claims to have no idea who is responsible for these thefts, nor their motive. We don't know what whoever is stealing these animatronics might want. The investigation hasn't yielded anything yet, stated PDI officer Diego Alarcon. In our opinion, the most likely scenario is that these thieves want to sell the pieces, but we can't confirm anything. There are more valuable items inside, so it's surprising they didn't take them. The officer also reported that the investigation is ongoing and that they will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this. On the other hand, the restaurant CEO stated that it will have to remain closed until the robot is recovered. We are still considering ordering a replacement from the manufacturer, but since this is the second theft we've experienced, we fear they'll come back for a third. Perhaps the best course of action is to remain closed for a while longer, he declared. Newspaper 2. Missing cousins found in old antique shop belonging to their grandmother, January 15th, 2012. 2 of the victims were found with injuries, while the youngest was found dead. Yesterday morning, Sunday, January 14th, the body of a young man identified as Camilo Torres was finally found. He had disappeared early Thursday morning from the shop known as Omegna Antiques, owned by his grandmother. His 2 other grandchildren were also found with him. Valentina Torres, Camilo's sister, who is currently in a coma at the Central Hospital, and Cristobal Valdebenito, a first corporal of the Carabineros, Chilean police force, who had several minor injuries. As soon as they were found, the survivors were taken to the hospital. Valdebenito has not yet agreed to comment on what happened there, stating that he first needs to speak with his superiors about the matter. Regarding Valentina Torres' condition, the attending physician, Joaquin Soto, stated that the reasons for her unconsciousness are still unknown. The tests indicate that there is brain activity. Very low, but it is there. However, the young woman has no head injuries that could explain her unconsciousness. It's a very strange case, but we are continuing to examine her, the doctor stated. Regarding Camilo Torres, according to the investigative police, PDI, the cause of death was asphyxiation by strangulation. The minor's neck showed very noticeable marks. Both his neck and part of his spine, as well as his trachea, are, in the words of prosecutor Leonardo Altamirano, destroyed. Asphyxiation of that level is very difficult to achieve. An ordinary human could not do it, he stated. In fact, it almost looks like as if his neck had been crushed by heavy metal machinery, but this doesn't quite fit considering the finger-like marks left on his neck. The PDI also stated that the investigation is not over yet, and that, although with the current leads it is difficult to reach a conclusion, they will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this and bring justice to the guilty parties. Newspaper 3. Security footage from Omegna Antiques shows the owner attacking her granddaughter, January 16th, 2012. During the investigation into the murder of the 20-year-old at the Omegna Antiques shop, police found a recording of one of the owner's computers. The recording shows the owner ordering a group of animatronic robots to kill Valentina Torres, her own granddaughter. The video from the shop's security camera network shows a young woman and her grandmother, Mrs. Omegna, the latter apparently accompanied by animatronic robots from various well-known entertainment chains, which she kept in her shop. In the recordings, she can be heard ordering the robots to get rid of her, at which point the machines step forward and begin attacking the young woman. We don't know how she could have made them work or how she could have made them obey her, stated Leonardo Altamirano, the prosecutor in charge of the case. We believe the video may be some kind of fabrication, but all of the evidence seems to indicate that this is not the case. According to the several owners of the entertainment chains who once owned those robots, those models had been discontinued for almost 2 decades and had mostly been sold at auctions long ago, which is how they are assumed to have eventually ended up in Omegna's store. For this part, Corporal Cristobal Valdebenito, one of the victims of the cousin of Valentina and her deceased brother, Camilo, stated that he had noticed his grandmother acting strangely in recent weeks, and he also identified her as the kidnapper during the days he was missing. It was a dark, cold, and old room. I could see her there. She didn't say anything significant. She was the one who had me trapped. This morning, the woman was arrested by the Carabineros, Chilean police, and will remain in custody while her connection to the incident is investigated. Holy fuck, that was a lot. But let's move on to the minigame. In this minigame, Omegna checks on her dad in the living room only to see that he's passed out drunk as fuck on the couch. She leaves to go reminisce in the kitchen. She checks the fridge only to see there's no food inside, and she wonders when Sandy will come home from her job. The image files consists of some bottles, a picture of Barney, and whatever the fuck this shit is right here. I literally have no idea what else this could be. My only guess is that the potion grants life, maybe, judging from the conversation we had with Barney. And then the Barney picture is just Barney being destroyed in the closet or getting a new life. I have no idea. And then the question mark image, bro, I'm scratching my head and my balls. You guys tell me what the fuck this is supposed to mean, bro. I've got no idea. The memory for the images has Omegna's dad drunk and yelling at her. He beats the shit out of her while she begs him to stop. He yells at her and tries to drink more, only to notice the bottle's empty. He shatters the bottle on the wall and tells Omegna that he's going to go get more. He tells them that when he gets back, he doesn't want to see either of them and that they need to go to bed now. Sandy shows up to comfort Omegna. Omegna confronts her, saying that they will not be hurt by him again. And then they run away from home together. This is probably one of the more disturbing cutscenes from this game, for obvious reasons. As far as the videos go, they're all just Pandy, Batenclop, and Cocoa Bite jittering in their new bodies. But this memory is a hell of a lot longer. Omegna and Sandy are arguing about Sandy stealing money. Sandy is thinking like a survivalist, but Omegna is thinking like a pacifist, explaining that she could just work. Sandy states that no one saw her and that she was poorer than a rat. Omegna shoots back that she shouldn't talk about herself like that and that she should be grateful that she took them in. Sandy states that the money was not entirely for herself, saying that she will buy things to help her. Omegna states that she wouldn't even accept the money, yet she should give back what she has left. Sandy states that she will not and will put the money to good use. Omegna snaps, stating that this is the last straw. She mentions that Sandy comes home late, skips school, and doesn't follow instructions. Sandy turns away, but Omegna puts her hands on her to make Sandy look at her again. Sandy states to get her hands off of her, but Omegna demands Sandy to follow her orders. Sandy snaps back, stating that Omegna isn't her mom. Omegna slaps Sandy, she apologizes, but Sandy runs away, stating that she hates Omegna and to stop bothering her. They have never seen each other again since that day. So there you go! I told you I'd cover it in more detail. Are you proud of me? Please say yes, because I've been writing the script for no joke the last 6 hours. I'm fucking dying over here. 2 more things before we wrap up. The first is this weird minigame called Pandy POV. It's just some point and click bullshit and seriously provides no lore to the story whatsoever, just a time waster. And the final thing is what happens after you beat 720 mode, which I obviously didn't fucking do because I'm not a maniac. After you complete it, you get this short cutscene. Yes, it's in Spanish. I don't give a fuck. Hop off my dick and read the subtitles.
Sigues teniendo pesadillas, ¿eh? Tranquilo. Pasaste por mucho estrés durante esas noches. Es normal, y lo sabes. Poco a poco estas se irán. Todo está bien ahora.
So there we go, a teaser for yet another game to come. And it looks like there's gonna be a character with a cane. So maybe it'll be me, who fucking knows. But as far as I'm aware, that's all the last Psy has to offer. Overall, I think this game has one of the most interesting and unique stories I've ever seen come out of a FNAF game before. Sure, I do think the first game is complete ass, but the second game really makes up for it. It looks fucking amazing, the gameplay is actually interesting, albeit incredibly difficult at times, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who wants a fun challenge. What is your favorite Roblox game? Don't answer that. I don't want to see any comments saying Forsaken, that game is terrible. Let me be more specific. What is your favorite Roblox FNAF game? Maybe you say FNAF 2 Reimagined. Maybe you say dog watching. Well, I personally have found a new FNAF Roblox series that we could add to the conversation. Today, we'll be talking about Five Nights at Marcus, a series many of you may have never heard about. However, with 3 games being in the series, I'm willing to bet you've heard of the third. It's just a little game that goes by the name of Far From Land. Yeah. That's something even I didn't know about until starting to do work for this video. This series tries a lot of interesting things and succeeds and fails at a lot of them. Today, I'll be going over each of those things, so join me as we dive into the world of Five Nights at Marcus. And with Five Nights at Marcus, we obviously start with the first one, and night 1 of game 1. And with night 1 on the way, we bust a nut into our office and can start learning about everything important that we need to learn. To start, let's just talk about our office itself. Obviously, we have our monitors for our cameras in front of us, but we also have a picture of a cat named Oscar on our desk, and I think that's great. Also, if you open the drawer on your desk, you'll see another picture of Oscar. Just lovely. Looking up, we see a big vent, but we'll focus on that later. Turning around, we'll see the door to our office, which cannot be closed, which is a bit concerning just knowing the type of game we're playing right now. And behind us is also a maintenance panel, which we will be using to complete the night. How do we do that, you ask? Great question. On this maintenance panel, you will see several tasks we have to complete. That's right, Five Nights at Marcus uses a task-based completion system rather than a time-based one, which can be a blessing and a curse in some instances. The tasks are mind-numbing. Just press a button and wait for it to load 5 times and the night is over. But what about the threat this night introduces? That would seemingly be Marcus himself. You can find him on the cameras just laying on the fucking floor. He has no legs, so we can all laugh at him for being crippled. Where's your life alert, buddy, huh? Get up! Marcus will try to get to the door behind you. However, Marcus makes no sound cues, and because he has no legs, is not visible at the door or window either. So, how are you supposed to know when he's actually arrived? Another great question. Gosh, you guys are on a roll today. The answer is pretty simple. You really have to make sure you're watching him on the cameras, and once you see him leave camera 1, you'll know he's at your door. But Dexter, how are you supposed to keep him away? Oh my goodness, another amazing question. You're doing so well. Inside of your maintenance panel, along with your tasks menu, you also have a shock menu. Go to the shock menu and use the shock when Marcus is outside of your door and he'll scream like a bitch and run away. And then his cycle will continue. Night 1 is piss easy since Marcus barely moves, but don't worry, this is going to get much more complicated as we go. So let's move on to night 2. Night 2 rolls around and we have one new threat to talk about. And for some reason, I'm not gonna lie to you, this night serves to show me how stressful this game is about to become. Let's talk about it. The new threat on this night, not gonna lie, I don't know the name of him, so I'm just gonna call him Green Man. Green Man attacks in the same way as Marcus, except noticing him is a lot easier. When he gets to your office, he has 2 phases. One outside of your window, and one where he's standing in the fucking doorway. Which I can't lie, scared the shit out of me the first time I saw it. Oh. What's that? I didn't like that. No, I fucking didn't. What the fuck was that about? Which you can see in my full playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Exact same thing as Marcus here. Whenever you see him in your hallway or at your door, shock his ass and he'll reset. Now, if you remember about 24 seconds ago, you'll notice I said that this night is stressful. You might be wondering how that's even possible considering there's only 2 threats and they both do the exact same thing. Well, my reasoning for this surrounds Marcus and the fact you have to watch him so closely on the cameras. Marcus moves incredibly quickly, it seems. Like, way faster than I would have ever expected for a Night 2 character to move. I was expecting to be able to do my tasks in bursts of 50% before checking on him, but that got me killed very quickly. We gotta get this thing to 100 before we go check on him, though. That's my goal. We gotta get you to 100, bro. Perfect. Fuck me in my ass. Okay, well, I didn't expect you to be that quick. He was a quick guy. Then I decided to do them in bursts of 25%, and that was working up until the point in the night where Green Man starts moving. Then I had to start doing my tasks in bursts of 10%, and even that felt like I was cutting it down to the wire with time management. And now, here's the really weird part. Throughout the first half of the night, Marcus was moving at the speed of sound. The moment Green Man activates, Marcus sits in his final camera for the rest of the night without moving. And this is so stressful for exactly the reason you think it is. With Marcus in his last camera, it only takes him one more movement opportunity to reach the office, which means I'm on edge the whole night, constantly checking to make sure he doesn't move. Because he's been stationary for so long, I'm thinking, there's no way he's not gonna move. He's going to anytime now, except nope. He never fucking moved. Just sitting there like a dick, scaring the shit out of me. Whatever. On to night 3. With night 3 coming along, so does another threat we get to talk about. And in all honesty, this threat doesn't make the game much harder, but Marcus 100% does. The threat introduced on this night is once again someone I don't know the name of, so I'm going to be calling him Vent Guy. And I'm guessing purely by saying his name, you can already guess what this guy is going to do. That's right, the exact same thing as Marcus. No, I'm not kidding. Vent Guy will attack your vents, and he actually has 2 different means of attacking you. The first will have him do exactly what Green Man does. He'll go through vent 1 and show up outside of your office. When he does, all you have to do is go to the shock menu on your maintenance panel and shock the vent. His second form of attack will have him attack the vent directly above your head, or vent 2. When you see him in this vent, for some reason, you don't shock the vent. This time around, you have to give him the Withered Foxy treatment and flash your light at him several times to make him go away. Turns out he's epileptic, and there's nothing I enjoy more than giving epileptic people seizures. Also, quick side tangent, I feel like it'd be hard to drive with epilepsy. And who knows, maybe you can't. There have been times where I'm driving on the highway, and on the sides of the road they have the little bumper things to prevent people from flying off the road, but these little bumper things have several support beams holding them in the ground, so when you're driving during the sunset, oftentimes the sun will line up with those fucking support beams and proceed to strobe me for the next 6 miles on the fucking road. Anyways, let's keep talking about the Five Nights at Freddy's game, shall we? Again, Vent Guy isn't really that big of an issue. Who is a fucking issue, however, is Marcus. At first, I thought Marcus was moving at the speed of fucking sound because there would be several, and I do mean several instances where I noticed Marcus leaves camera 1, so I shocked the hallway. Then moments later, I get killed by Marcus. At first, I thought this meant Marcus turned into a fucking bullet train, but no. I think I understand what's happening here. I'm pretty sure there's a window of time between Marcus leaving camera 1 and actually showing up outside of your office. And I think I was shocking the hallway during that window of time, which meant when Marcus actually did get to my hallway, I was never actually able to shock him, and I obviously couldn't see him on the cameras. I think this is a very, very bad mechanic. If this is truly how Marcus works, if Marcus can't be seen when he's in the hallway, and he makes no sound cues to indicate he's entered the hallway, and you have a window of time between him disappearing off of all of the cameras and reaching the hallway, and your shock cooldown is very long, this brings up a very obvious problem of literally never being able to time Marcus properly and consistently. What needs to happen is when Marcus leaves camera 1, that means he is instantly in your hallway. What ended up happening constantly during my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, is I would see Marcus leave camera 1, so I'd shock the hallway. Then I'd check camera 4 to see if he'd been reset. When I saw he hadn't, I'd rush back to the maintenance panel and spam the shock button, which was always still charging at this point. Shock the hallway a second time, and only then would I see that Marcus would reset. This is very bad. One of the only flaws I've noticed with this game so far. This is not fun. This is not challenging. This is not innovative. This is just bad game design. And if the devs are looking for anything to change about this game, this is 100% the thing to change. But with that, we can move on to night 4. All right, recording Dxtr here. Giving a little note as I'm reading this script and remembering that I wrote this. Marcus, I was told that Marcus, after he is in camera 1 and he disappears, he doesn't go to the hallway. He actually goes to camera 3 after camera 1. However, thinking about that doesn't make sense because quite literally, every time I shocked the hallway and then shocked it a second time, Marcus was reset. So you're telling me that if that's true, what I just said right now, that he goes to camera 3 after camera 1, camera 3 is his final camera, you're telling me that every single feasible time Marcus left camera 1 and I shocked twice, he made a movement opportunity to camera 3 and then my hallway. He made that every time in that window of time without fail. I don't believe that. I have trouble believing that. I think what I wrote originally is correct, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Guys, I've got some great news for you. After a long time of waiting, the Skags plushie is finally live. I've been working with Makeshift to make the perfect Skags plushie possible, and I think he's turned out perfect. We obviously talk a lot about Five Nights at Freddy's on this channel, so I figured it'd be great to make him in the exact style as the FNAF plushies, which means he'll easily be able to sit on your desk or shelf without falling over. You guys made this possible. I could have never done this without you. To everyone who supported the petition a few months back, thank you guys so much. But you guys have to be fast as Skaggs is only around for a limited time. Once this campaign is over, he'll be gone forever, so you really don't want to miss out. This is hands down the coolest thing that has ever happened to me as a YouTuber, and I never thought 2 years ago when I started this channel that it would get me this far in life. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate every single one of you. You guys have made my dreams come true, and this is one small way I can celebrate that. So go get yourself a Skaggs plushie before time runs out. He's the perfect gift for anyone who likes stuffed animals, and I guarantee if you put this guy in your bed, the Huzz are gonna flock to you like birds. So that's always a plus too. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and thank you to Makeship for making this plushie with me and putting up with my constant tweaks to make sure that Skaggs is as perfect as he is. Sorry for interrupting. Let's get back to the video. Night 4 rolls around, and with it, another threat is introduced. Once again, the name of this character is currently unknown to me, so I'm going to be calling him Screen Guy. Obviously, as I'm sure you could have already seen, there are 6 screens on our desk, and so far we've only ever used one of them. Well, Screen Guy is here to change that. Throughout the night, at random, he has a chance to appear on any of the non-camera screens. He'll make a subtle sound cue when he appears, and all you have to do is click the monitor he occupies and he'll go away. Incredibly basic character, not really much to worry about. Something about this night I want to mention is 2 things that I learned. The first being that Green Man's name is Shut. I personally prefer Green Man if I'm being honest. The second thing I learned while playing Night 4 is that as long as your maintenance panel is down, no matter which of the 2 screens you have selected, you will still do your task. Okay, let's just pump this up to 40. And now we'll shock. Oh wait, it's still going. Well, isn't that just the best thing you've ever seen in your life? I didn't know it was gonna do all that now. Which means if I notice Marcus has left, now that I know I basically have to shock him twice to properly time it, I can start on my task, flip to the shock panel, and while I take a billion years shocking him twice, the task I selected will still be performed the entire time. I'm sure this was probably obvious to most people, but shut up, I just figured it out now. Anyways, on to Night 5, since there wasn't a whole lot to go over this time. Once again, Night 5 introduces nothing new and just goes about being a harder version of Night 4. While a little boring, there's nothing wrong with that. It is the first game in the series after all. However, there is something interesting to talk about. But before I talk about it, I want to mention the names of the characters I've failed to mention so far. Vent Guy's name is officially Dahomey. Yes, I'm serious. What a silly name. I personally prefer Vent Guy, I'm not gonna lie. And then the weird monitor guy's name is officially Shadow Marcus, which, by the way, I didn't mention this. If you ever don't click his monitor in time, he'll just appear behind you and disable your maintenance panel, ensuring that you will die. Anyways, on to that interesting thing I mentioned about 20 seconds ago. After completing Night 5, the game doesn't just end like I expected it to. Instead, we get this cutscene. But there we go. After completing Night 5, we get a sneak peek at possibly our antagonist, and Five Nights at Marcus comes to a close. But that's not before we're able to go into the extras menu and read a little bit about the characters. We see that Marcus was never finished being built, which is obviously why he has no legs. Shut was originally designed to be so tall for intimidation, as he was going to be a security robot, but he soon turned hostile. Dahomey goes into your vents because he's so small, and he was the last robot made before the company had to hand over all of their robots for investigation, which I find interesting because they're not being investigated in this game. They're just sitting in a building. And finally, the company has given no word as to what Shadow Marcus even is, so yeah, that doesn't sound weird and suspicious at all. So yeah, that's all Five Nights at Marcus has to offer. But of course, judging by the length of this video, you guys know we've got a lot more to talk about. And that's because this series actually has 2 additional games packed full of content. So let's move on to Five Nights at Marcus 2. Five Nights at Marcus 2, while not a remaster, don't let that fool you, as while graphically it may not look as good as the first game, mechanic-wise, I think it is pretty solid. And this game is much more stressful than the first. So let's get right into Night 1, because just like in the first game, there's no weird minigames. Night 1 drops us right into the office and really shows us how much more challenging this game is going to be. To start, let's talk about the tools at our disposal. Of course, we have our camera system, nothing special, and just like the last game, we're able to turn around to do our tasks. But we'll talk about what those tasks are in a bit because they are much more interesting than the first. Sticking to the front of our office, we have a flashlight that we can use to flash the large window in front of us. You'll notice there's 3 separate areas of this window you can flash. You'll also notice that this flashlight drains incredibly quickly, like really fast. So what do we do about that? While looking at the front of the office, you can flip down your maintenance panel in order to repair things or shock things. If your flashlight goes dead, simply repair it and it'll fill right back up. Nothing crazy. Now, let's move on to talking about the task-based system this game has, and why it's much more stressful than the first. To start, this time around, we're not just pressing a button and playing the waiting game. This time, it's actually something we have to pay attention to. We will receive several shipping containers throughout the night. When they arrive, we must scan them, which takes a while, and when they're scanned, we'll get some information about them on the left side of the screen. The information predetermined on the right side of the screen is what should be inside of the shipping container. If both sides match, we accept it. If they don't, we deny it. Every time we do this successfully, we gain a point, and if we fuck up 5 times, we lose. Fucking up is pretty hard, but once these nights start to get more and more stressful, it will become apparent how messing this up could be easy. Do this 12 times and the night is complete. But of course, we all know it's not just that simple, as of course we do have other threats to deal with at the same time. Just like in the first game, Marcus himself is the only character introduced on Night 1, and he is very simple. Even more simple than in the first game. However, he does drain a precious resource far more than any other character does. Marcus will move through the cameras to get to your window. Luckily, this time you'll actually be able to see him when he's at it. And when he is, all you have to do is spam your flashlight at him and he'll reset. But of course, with the flashlight draining so quickly, dealing with Marcus is not something you're going to want to be doing very often, as repairing the flashlight can take a hefty amount of time when you really don't have it. Plus, we'll need to use that flashlight to deal with the other threats that get introduced later, but for now, Marcus is all we have, so beating this night should be easy and we can move on to Night 2. Night 2 honestly does way more than I expected it to, and is where I learned that this game has quite a few more characters than the first. So let's not waste any time and talk about the first threat this night introduces, Shut. Returning from the first game like Marcus, Shut plays a role in introducing a very important mechanic into the game, that being your shock system. Inside of your maintenance panel where you repair your flashlight, you'll notice a shock button at the bottom. Switching to the shock screen, you'll see you can shock either the vent or the office. Shut will slowly make his way to your office, and fun fact, whenever a character reaches camera 5, which is the camera right before they show up in your window, they will actually make a sound cue as you'll be able to hear them walking, which is very nice. When Shut shows up at your window, shock your office and he'll go away, wherein you'll then have to wait for the office shock to recharge. Not so bad. Hopefully we just don't get a fuck ton more characters that also require us to shock the office. The next threat introduced on this night goes by the name of Him. Stupid name, I know, but let's just roll with it, alright? Him will make his way to your office and show up at your window. When he does, all you have to do is shock the office and he'll leave. Uh-oh. Something tells me this game is about to get super repetitive and mind-numbing and luck-based. But those are the only new threats this night introduces. But before we move on to Night 3, there's one more mechanic I need to mention now that we've brought up shocking. You only have 5 shocks. When you run out, you'll need to repair your shock to refill it. You usually have plenty of time to do this at this point of the game, but I get the funny feeling it's going to get a lot more difficult as we progress. But with that out of the way, we can move on to Night 3. Night 3 only adds one new threat, and the way the game made him sound made me think he was going to be interesting. What are the animatronics? Take a shortcut through the vents to your office. Make sure you flash. What? 17! But I was sorely mistaken. This night introduces Vent Boy again. I already forgot his name, and I don't feel like checking again because I remember that it was something really stupid. Vent Boy does pretty much the exact same thing that he does in the first game, yet they somehow managed to make him more boring. Vent Boy obviously travels through your vents. When he makes it to your window, you'll see him directly in front of you. Unlike the original, where you have to shock the vent, this time around, you just treat him like Marcus and flash him a bunch of times until he leaves. Very boring. I don't know why they didn't make him a vent shot character. That just makes sense. It's also at this point of the video where I want to mention a pretty glaring flaw that this game has, and I'm sure you might have already caught on. There is so far no reason to ever check your cameras throughout this game, and in fact, even the sound cues aren't necessary, as you could pretty easily beat what we've talked about so far with the game muted. Here's what the strategy boils down to right now. Start the night and immediately start working on tasks. Every time you send a container, turn around and very quickly flash the 3 sections of the window to waste as little flashlight power as possible. If you don't see anyone, do your next task. If you do see someone, deal with them. If it's a shock character, shock them and then repair your flashlight before turning around and working on the next container. The only time you won't repair your light here is if you need to repair your shock instead. Repeat this 17 times for night 3 and you have it completed. Is this night hard? No. Do all of the characters make you feel intimidated? No. Why? Because even though we have 4 characters active at this point, there are still only 2 mechanics to deal with all of them, as this game continues to dive into the FNAF 2 repetition problem. But let's hold out some hope and move on to night 4. Night 4 is nothing special. No, literally, quite literally nothing new is added on this night at all. And for some reason, during my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, I actually got attacked far less times than I did on night 3, which I thought was really weird. The only thing that actually changes on this night is how many cargo containers you have, which on this night was 18. Boring stuff. Let's move on to night 5 where something interesting actually does happen. Night 5 does something different, thankfully, that being introducing one new threat that actually really changes something about the gameplay loop, which this game 100% needed. This new character is Vent Boy 2.0, and I'm calling him that because, once again, I forgot his fucking name. Vent Boy 2.0 adds something from the first game that I wasn't a super huge fan of. As I'm sure you could have guessed by his name, he travels through the vents, except unlike Dahomey, he doesn't drop down in front of you for you to flash. He works exactly how Marcus does from the first game. He'll travel through your vent cameras. Once you see him disappear from them, you know he's about to attack. During this time, all you have to do is shock the vent, and he'll reset. While not a hard mechanic by itself, it does hurt my dick that I actually have to try to beat this game now. Although, it is good that at least now finally on night 5, we have a reason to use the camera. Too bad we only get one night with him, as night 5 is the final night Five Nights at Marcus 2 has to offer. However, we still have one last game to talk about, and it's not called Five Nights at Marcus 3. I actually didn't even know that the next game we'll be talking about was even a part of this series, that game in question being Far From Land. So let's jump right into that. Far From Land starts in a very interesting way. Unlike both of the Five Nights at Marcus games, Far From Land actually has something other than just night sections, as this game opens to a cutscene about cargo ships that work for Celadon, and go figure, we play as the person driving this cargo ship. And oddly enough, we're referred to as Marcus by the phone guy. Hey, recording Dxtr once again. No, we fucking aren't. We're not called Marcus. I don't know why I fucking wrote that. We're called Malcolm. Guess I'm retarded. Anyways, let's continue. Speaking of the phone guy, he's nothing special on our first voyage in the game. He tells us how to deal with problems, blah, blah, blah. Let me do that for you guys. To start, once again, like the other games, Far From Land is a task-based completion system, which I really like. And this game's task is by far the most interesting and engaging so far. We have to literally just drive the fucking ship. That's the task. While we're piloting the ship, we will be able to see several icebergs in front of us. We will have to steer the ship away from these to avoid crashes. And once we reach a certain point, which is marked on a monitor in front of us, the voyage will be complete. Of course, it's not just as easy as that. We also have a maintenance room to keep track of. The ship we're on is very old and is prone to breaking down. We can check the ship's integrity with one of our monitors, and once it gets too low, the ship will stop moving and sirens will start to blare. At this time, we must go back to the maintenance room and fix one of a few busted pipes at random. Don't worry about the massive scary vent in front of us. We'll talk about that later. The only other thing for us to talk about on this night is the one threat this game introduces. I'm assuming this character is shut, just given the fact how large this character really is. On one of our monitors in front of us, we can see a layout of the ship. Unlike every other game so far, we can't actually check the cameras, which is really a good thing since the last 2 games really didn't have any reason to. Every time a character moves, we will get a signal on this monitor to show us exactly where they are. Obviously, Shut is the only character active on this night, so he's all we have to talk about. Shut, being the most basic of the characters, does the most basic thing. He will wander around the ship until he reaches the hallway directly behind you. You'll be able to hear him when he arrives. Turning around will show him inside of the hallway, but you don't have to do anything at this point. The next time Shut moves, he will be right up next to you, so you need to make sure you're facing the hallway when this happens. As he walks up to you, you'll need to hold your breath so he thinks you're not alive or something. He'll check you out, make sure you're a robot or something, and then he'll turn around and leave, and you can go back to driving the ship. Very simple character, but I do think him getting so close to you is super cool. But that's all the first voyage has to offer. But good news for us, in this game, there's actually something to do after each night instead of just moving on to the next. We have the first post-voyage section where we need to fix up our old bum-ass ship. During this section, we're in an area that's dark as fuck. We're equipped with a flashlight and a checklist. We'll have to find several jerry cans around the map, fix several pipes, shut off the power, and find and replace the fuse of the ship's generator. Then this night will truly be over. Of course, it's not just as simple as that, as there is a threat lurking around. Do I know the name of this character? Just like most other characters introduced in this series, no. But I'm sure I'll find out the more that I play. For now, I'm going to call this character the Puppet because its drawing kinda looks like a discount marionette. The puppet will randomly wander around the ship as we're doing our tasks. This place is dark as fuck, and using our flashlight is essential. Every time we move to a new location, we'll have to pause and listen for the puppet's breathing. Even though it's a fucking robot, it still is loud. When we hear it, we must hold our breath until it leaves, wherein we can then continue our tasks. Very simple overall, but I do think it's really cool they're adding something to do after the main night sections. With that, we can move on to Voyage 2. Voyage 2 is much the same as the first. We've got a slightly longer distance to go and a new threat to talk about. This one being a lot scarier than the last. I want you to take a solid guess whether or not I know the name of this character. Do you think I do? What's that? You think I know the name of this character? Well, you haven't been watching this video then, because I have no fucking idea what this thing is called, so I'm gonna be calling him Water Guy. Hey, recording Dxtr here, once again, I'm back. Apparently this is fucking Marcus. Does it look like Marcus? No, but it's Marcus. Water Guy uses a mechanic that has to do with water, if you couldn't have guessed based on how I named him. One of the monitors on the panel in front of us shows off our water integrity. This is basically just explaining how much water the ship is currently storing. Pulling the lever next to it will increase how much water is stored if it ever decreases. But that brings up the question of how it decreases. Well, that's where Water Guy comes into play. Just like Shut, he will make his way to where we are. However, he uses a different entrance. If you turn to where Shut attacks and then turn left, you'll see a new door. This door has no light and there's no way to see into the doorway. I'm sure you can see where this might be going. And you'd be right. You will not be able to see Water Guy when he's in the door. And with no cameras, how are you supposed to track him? Well, that's where that trusty motion detector comes into play. When you see that he's near the entrance, quickly whip around to that doorway and pull a yellow lever that releases a sprinkler system into the doorway for some reason. Not really sure why this is here, but it is. When you do, you'll see Water Guy spark, since you know he's a robot and they don't really fuck with water and such, and then he'll reset. Nothing crazy, but he is for sure going to be one of the more annoying threats throughout this playthrough. So now, let's move on to the post-Voyage 2 section. Not even really sure why I'm talking about this section. It's the exact same as the last one, except the objects are placed randomly somewhere else, and it seems that whatever monster is down here is more aggressive. Overall, super simple. It's time to move on to Voyage 3. Voyage 3 is longer than Voyage 2. This is going to be a pattern that repeats itself. Also offered on this voyage is yet another threat for us to worry about, that being Dahomey. A character I surprisingly remembered the name of, but that's only because it's so fucking stupid. Dahomey, like he is in the other games, is a vent character. And where is the only vent on the ship we can access? That's right, the maintenance room. Luckily, we can track him on the motion detector like the other characters, and when we see him in the vent, all we have to do is whip over to it and hold our flashlight on him until he goes away. Very easy, but it is another character to drag us away from the task that continues to get longer and longer each night, but That's all this voyage adds. Moving on to the post-voyage section, which is actually something different this time. Instead of inspecting the top deck, this time we're inspecting the bottom deck. In it, we have another plethora of tasks, such as fixing leaky pipes, replacing fire extinguishers, rearranging pipes, and finally refueling the ship. All of these tasks are pretty simple. However, there is one threat looming over our heads, quite literally the entire time. That being the puppet-looking thing again. Hey, recording Dxtr again, this is a different fucking puppet. I don't know its name, but it's a different one. Occasionally, while we're walking around the lower deck, he'll drop down from a vent in the ceiling. Using a wrench we acquire on this night to complete our tasks, we have to whack the shit out of him to make him jump back into the vents. We only have a certain amount of stamina, and since we need to swing the wrench to fix leaky pipes, we have to balance how much we're swinging at once. Once we get into the final room, all we do is refuel the ship and we're ready to move on to the next voyage. However, before we do that, I want to talk about something stupid that this game has. Quite a few months back, I was actually playing this game on my second channel, Dxtr Black, but I stopped on episode 3 because this post-voyage section of the game was bugged. I said I'd come back to the game after it was fixed. What would happen is that the game would literally just freeze when doing certain things, and I was even able to still replicate it now, which happened in my newest playthrough of the game. What? See, look, I already broke the game. Turns out this bug is all tied to the FPS of the game. If you use the highest FPS to 40 like I do, not only can this bug occur, but it will also fuck up your camera movement 6 ways to Sunday, making you whip around so fast it gives you whiplash. This is the same problem I was having all those months ago. So, if you turn your FPS down to 60, not only will it fix the whole whiplash problem for some reason, it will also completely fix the freezing bug I had. I have no idea whatsoever how FPS has to play into any of this, and this is not the first game I've played with this weird problem. Weirdly enough, the Poppy Playtime games also have bugs on higher frame rates as well, the main one being that the grab pack will pull you upwards far fucking slower on higher FPS. Super weird, but I needed to point it out. On to voyage number 4, which is entirely new territory for me once again, and with this voyage comes one of the scariest threats yet. Lore-wise, not really gameplay-wise, I'm gonna be honest with you. During the phone call, it gets intercepted by a guy named Mason. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to know who Mason is at this time, but I'm gonna be so honest, I have no idea who the fuck Mason is, and I really can't be fucked to figure it out. Mason talks about how this new threat, who he calls the Kraken, has gotten on the ship and that it's very dangerous. Apparently, this robot is what the company doesn't want anyone knowing about, and we're completely alone on this massive ship with it. The Kraken's mechanic is pretty interesting, but I think it could have been done a lot better. The Kraken can be seen on the front of the ship through your window while you're driving. By holding shift, you can cause the horn of the ship to go off. Whenever you see the Kraken, blow the horn like the hose do and he'll go away. When your horn integrity runs out, all you have to do is go to the maintenance room and fix a pipe, which will then fix your horn. I don't really know how that makes any sense, but don't question it. That's just what we have to do. The Kraken does have another mechanic, although I personally never saw it. The Kraken has a chance to enter your maintenance room. If you ever see him in there, just turn around and that's literally it. Hey, recording Dxtr again. This isn't the Kraken that does this in the maintenance room. It's another fucking character I don't know the name of, but yeah, no, he was just never mentioned by a phone guy. It's just fucked me, I guess. Overall, I think the Kraken could be a cool mechanic. He kind of hides like he knows you're looking for him, but he always hides in the same spot. I think it would be a lot cooler and a lot more interesting if the Kraken had several hiding spots throughout the front of the ship that he'd hide in at random. Doing this would not only make the gameplay loop more interesting, but also keep the player on their toes throughout the entire voyage. Now, moving on to the post-voyage section. Spoiler alert, it's exactly the same as the last one. Doing the same tasks, albeit one of the puzzles is different, but still very simple, and the puppet thing is still trying to turn our guts into soup. Refill the tank at the end of this section of the voyage, and it is over, and we can move on to the 5th voyage. Voyage 5 adds nothing new to the gameplay loop, just being a harder version of Voyage 4, and a lot harder, that is. The characters really ramp up their AI on this night and get a lot more aggressive, which is an oddly nice change of pace. What really gets interesting is this post-voyage cutscene.
Why are you doing this? You think you can just take us away and destroy us and leave no trace of us left? I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. You have made a mistake doing this, and you know that. Malcolm, I know everything about you. You are just like everyone else I've killed. Weak. Maybe I know why you are even here to begin with. Is it because of your brother? I know you're hurt, and I know you want to take revenge. But you know deep down that you'll never defeat me. Never come back here. Never tell anyone about this. Or else, you'll have to face me.
And with that, we're surprisingly thrown into a sixth voyage. A sixth night is something that none of the other games have had so far, so this actually makes me very surprised. And turns out this final voyage is a boss fight with the Kraken, which is the name of the robot we just saw in the cutscene, not actually the robot I was calling the Kraken earlier. I'm sure you could have guessed from this whole video, but I don't think the series is very good at explaining names. The Kraken obviously plays the role of all of the characters we've seen on the voyages so far, with a small twist when he plays as Shut and Dahomey. In both cases, when dealing with him, he activates a rat from Five Nights at Candy's 3 mechanic, where you have to track his head while he moves around. Awesome change of pace. I love that they added this little extra piece of detail, really ties everything together. The dude that sits outside of your front window, and Scrap, which is the name of the character that I thought was the Kraken that sat in your maintenance room, had a chance to do it, and you turn around, it's that guy, his name is Scrap. I found this out only because of the fucking settings at the end of the game, because they never say his fucking name in the game. It's just stupid as fuck. But that's really it. Deal with all of the characters and try to avoid the fact that the Kraken killed a guy and attached his rib cage and head to his own fucked up robot body. Yeah, tell me that's not the most fucked up shit you've ever heard in your life. After completing the voyage, we get one last cutscene where we seemingly willingly drive the ship right into a giant rock to sink the entire thing and destroy ourselves, along with the murder robots that are inside of it. Honestly, a very good decision in my opinion. Really taking one for the team there, Malcolm. I appreciate it, G. But with that, everything is destroyed. We unlock the extras where I learned Dahomey wasn't even Dahomey the entire time I've been calling him the wrong fucking name, and that there are like 7 human characters that have a paragraph of text beneath them, all characters I'm supposed to be familiar with. Spoiler alert, I am not, so I'm just gonna pretend like I never opened the extras menu, and I'll just say that Five Nights at Marcus series comes to a close. Overall, I really think that this is a great series. I think it started off pretty rocky, but overall it's clear you can see a real improvement from one game to another, especially with how amazing Far From Land is. Even though it has one of the stupidest bugs I've ever seen. I just really hate how lore-wise, I literally picked up none of it. Literally 0 pieces throughout my whole playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Or do you think this game series is just the worst of the worst slop? Let me know in the comments below. In my Fazbear Tomb video, I asked you guys what smaller FNAF fan games you'd like to see me cover in a video where I go over multiple in one video. And my favorite answer was, I don't fucking know, because I couldn't find a comment that actually answered the question. So thanks, guys. The question of this video is, what do you think is the worst FNAF series ever made? To be clear, not a singular game, I mean specifically a series. Let me know in the comments below. With the question of the video being asked, thank you to these 3 talented artists for your fan art. You can submit yours in the Discord, link in the description. Thank you to my super fan channel members. You guys are helping me keep the gamer PC on so that I can play more FNAF games. Go buy yourself a Skags plushie, you won't regret it. I've been Dxtr, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!